cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 Just black and white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 Just black and white. Black and white.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Apex Technologies LMP2 Championship powered here by SurgeX. We are here at Road Atlanta. My name is Daniel Handover, and joining me in the commentary box this fine evening is Mr. Ed May. Ed, how are you doing this evening?
I am doing absolutely wonderfully. Thank you very much, Dan, and welcome everyone. Yes, this is the third round of the Apex Technologies LMP2 Championship. As you mentioned, the SurgeX Road Atlanta Petit P2 clash, and this is certainly going to be a brilliant race. Last time out, of course, we were at Silverstone for the Meridian Audio Silverstone LMP2 Classic, and well, all of the rounds, all the races this championship season have been ones to remember. We can have a look at the championship standings for you now, as all the drivers are in the briefing currently. We have, of course, Maxime Brient leading the standings following his wins at Daytona and Silverstone so far this season. Alexander Walton doing very well for himself there in second place. Burkhard Maring third, with Molnar Peter, Bart Horsden, Timo Hayden, Remez Azam, Luca Fioravanti, Peter Zuber, and Ivola Lawal are rounding out the top 10 in Pro Division. We can have a look at the top 10 in AMS, because this is, of course, it's the same car. It's still multi-class. You've got pros and AMS here. James Ebram currently leading the standings there, following his brilliant results at Daytona and his AM class victory at Silverstone. Just ahead of Justin Young, very thin margins in the AM category, only 2 points separating first and second, and then 2 points separating, second and third, with Pablo Prado there in third position. And then there's 2 points again down to Jacob Money, 2 points again down to Roy Martin fifth. Then we have a little bit more of a gap to Mark Winters, Kamal Hashimi, Marco Prado, Andy Spicer, and Stephen Hatter rounding out the top 10 in AMS. And Road Atlanta, the third round of a 6-round series, going up to the halfway point here. Just starting to get an idea of where they are in the championship, and they might start to fight a bit. Well, maybe not as hard, maybe be a bit more conscious of where they are currently in the championship and trying to consolidate a good few points.
Yeah, this is very true. I mean, to be fair, I've been hearing some really, really good things about the championship, and it's how close it is as well. I think that's the main thing. It's like, it's so close. Road Atlanta is a perfect circuit for these cars to race around. It absolutely is. It's absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to get underway. And there's just such a variety of drivers throughout the field. The grid is so big, as there's so many things going on with this championship that it's just absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I think Road Atlanta even is one of the perfect places. It's got a bit of everything. You've got the slow corners, you've got the chicanes, you've got the incredibly fast straights with a bit of drafting. There's so much to offer a track like this that just promotes even better racing. It's absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to get underway.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, we have a little bit of a driver's brief. We can have an insight into what the drivers are being told at the moment. And there's a good point here. In fact, the first point is probably the most important, is that it's a very short track with so many fast corners. And with the grids the size they are, I can't quite see how many cars we have out on track now. I think we'll have just over 40 maybe by the end of qualifying here. It's going to be absolute, maniac moments here with 40 cars out on track, all racing hard. We've seen time and time again backmarkers playing their part in races throughout the season, but it's now really down to the drivers to make sure it's nice and clean. There aren't exactly too many chances you can send moves or make moves safely, and I think those have been highlighted as well, as you got going down through the S's. Not really the safest place to make it, but say going into turn one you can make it, and also maybe going through the chicane is probably the best chance drivers have of making up positions.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, you got to be cautious. Like, you have got to be careful to a certain extent of where you actually make those overtaking positions. You can't turn around and, like you said, going through down the hill. That's a very, very dangerous. I've seen people go too wide down there before. Never, very rarely ends well. So drivers, do have to be careful. Like I said, the main overtaking opportunities, going into turn one and then down sort of the main backstretch. I suppose the two corners at the top of the track as well. If you can get late on the brakes, you can make some moves there, but it's a little bit more tricky. Like I said, the main two braking points, as you said, Ed, very much turn one and coming down into the chicane near the end of the lap. And I'm sure we're going to see that, especially going through down into the end lap, going into that chicane. It's a big braking zone. So it is very much last of the late breakers. So I feel that's going to be definitely the position of overtaking most. We're just about to go into qualifying, and it's a lone qualifying this time by the looks. So to be fair, Ed, obviously, you know the championship more so than myself, and what's been going on. Is anyone to really sort of look out for this particular event, would you say?
Well, Maxime Brient is always one to watch. 2 race victories in the first 2 rounds. You're going to have to keep your eyes open for him. But there's a few other drivers that have been doing very well for themselves. Remez Azam is always one to watch. So as well, Alexander Walton. He's consistently scoring good points, but maybe Road Atlanta is the time where he can really come out into the spotlight and just show what he's capable of. It's very difficult to really say who you expect to do well, because all of the drivers in there on their day can really show with a great performance. Ibola Lawal as well, driver in 10th position in the championship, is doing incredibly well for himself at the moment. And then, of course, we have the AMS as well. James Ebram at Silverstone was class above the rest, it had to be said. And that's a driver maybe to have our eyes open for as well. I think as drivers are going to start qualifying very shortly and try and find who's out on track at the moment. Here we go. We've got, this is Alvaro Menendez here, who's currently on his outlap, going to be starting his first flying lap. Going to see what he can do now as he rounds the final chicane and gets the lap started now. Going down the hill, plunging down flat out through this section. Look at that. It's a beautiful sight, isn't it? An LMP2 car at Road Atlanta.
To be fair, it's one of my favourite cars out on track. It's one of my favourite cars to drive on the service. I've been plugging away at it for probably the last two seasons, ever since it has sort of come out, and it's just been so much fun. A little bit tricky when they gutted a fair few horsepower out of it about a week before the Daytona 24, which was a little bit more of a learning curve than I think everyone was anticipating. But I think that's actually made the racing even closer. You think you haven't got as much drive, you've got to carry a bit more momentum going through. We're going to see that going through here. It's amazing. You've got a big braking zone coming to these last, the top couple of corners, but you've still got to carry momentum, more so the first one than the second, but still a very, very clean exit is needed to make sure you maximise the run down all the way going through into the bottom chicane. And to be fair, we're actually going to bring the dashboard up. It's one of the things I want to see, how fast these guys are going up until the braking point. You've got, that's 280 kilometres an hour, 290 kilometres an hour into essentially what's going to be, 130, 120 kilometres an hour. That's such a big removal of speed, 150 Ks. Yeah, that's going to be such a heavy overtaking opportunity. You've got the first times on the board now. So Maxime Brient, as you were saying, Ed, look at that. Currently top of the timing stand for the 1:08.42. Obviously, they did mention it in the briefing. This is a very, very short lap, which obviously drivers do need to take all the more care of. Look at that. So we've just got Timo Hayden has now gone P2 to, that is, I believe, with a 109.1. So quite a ways off. But then the gap behind, look at Bart Wonston in third place. The gap is a hundredth of a second. So this is what it'd be like for qualifying. Imagine what the race is going to be like.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be fast and frenetic, I think, at the moment. We're going to just follow on with Alvaro Menendez. In fact, actually, I think we might want to watch Maxime Brient because he set that time. I think he's going on yet another flying lap. He's currently setting the benchmark time as he comes across the line now for his second flying lap. Is an improvement? Yes, it is. A 1 minute 8.386. Rapid times coming in from the Frenchman here. Well, we know he's absolutely capable of those times, and he's certainly showing us just that. In practice, it was seeming that he might be held quite close, actually, with I think it was himself and potentially Ivo Lawal or Ramez Azam, I think, that was keeping him very honest in the practice sessions. But, well, he's certainly in his own bubble, as Ivo Lawal actually does go second fastest for the moment. And Molnar Peter coming in. Bart Horston improves massively up into second place, but still 0.3 off Maxime Brient.
I know. I mean, to be fair, we're going to see these times obviously get closer as well as fuel burns off, tyres get warmer as well. So that's one of the things. You've got 15 minutes of qualifying. I wonder how people are going to do it. It's going to be an interesting thing. Are they going to pull into the pits and maybe do 2 runs? Are they just going to go with a 15-minute flat and not actually pull into the pits and change tyres? I don't really know. This is, I suppose, where strategy already plays a part into itself. As we've got, look at that, Jacob Money has just gone through into, that is P2 in the we're actually going to go on jump on board with him, and let's see, that is currently the lap that he's driving with at the moment, and that is he's going through, that's just going down the hill again. You've got to be careful, you've got to be avoiding the curb. That's probably one of the main things. You can just about get over the curb, but a little bit sketchy there. You've got to be careful. So I always find the LMP2 cars a bit of halfway house between between GTs and the full-blown LMP1 cars. You've got a bit of movement, you can take it, you can take some liberties, but you still got to be careful at the same time. But yeah, currently, like I said, Jacob Money doing well. Actually, there's an average down to P3 in class. So, but a respectable drive nevertheless.
Yeah, absolutely. James Ibram currently, or Ibram, whichever one it is. Me and Chaz were getting it wrong all the time, and I can't remember which one it actually was at the end of Service Day. But he's currently leading the AM category, but by only half a tenth, 500ths of a second, separating James Ibram from Justin Young there in second place. But as Jacob Money comes across the line, he was fourth in class. He has a faster lap time, but not fast enough. Ryan Mars just pipping him by what is that? 1/100th of a second. Margins ever so close all throughout the field, and you're seeing a great example of that now as Iwola Laval, coming through the final corner. Can he improve on fifth position? No, he can't just yet, but yes, he can. Sorry, it took a little while for the time to come through, but it eventually did, and it shows Iwola up in fourth place. Not quite enough for a podium, because look at that. Just 0.02 of a second separating Bart Horston and Ibola Lowell.
It's very, very close indeed, isn't it? That's absolutely incredible. I genuinely can't believe how close at the actual the timings are. And what we're going to see as well is probably these times are going to get even closer. That's the other thing to note as well, is the times that we're going to see are just going to be absolutely even closer than this when we've got obviously more cars to go out. But I don't think, to be fair, as much as track position is always a key thing. Track position is always a key thing when it comes to especially a race like this, if you've got a shorter track and everything. I don't necessarily think like Road Atlantic gives you that bit more flexibility because you've got such a long straight going through into the braking zone. Like you've got a bit more flexibility with what generally happens. Because you've got more of an opportunity. Somewhere like, I'm just trying to think of a track that I can rattle on my head. Somewhere like obviously Long Beach, track position, absolutely key. But then you've got other things such as going forward, I suppose, as well. Yeah, like I said, Long Beach, something you've got to be so careful. Where something like here, you've got a bit more flexibility. So it's one of those things where it isn't necessarily 100%, track position is needed, and then off you go, like I said. So that's one thing to also note as well. So drivers, don't need to get too disheartened if there's something that really goes. Don't need to get too disheartened if they're maybe not qualifying where they think they should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as you mentioned, this is a track you can overtake, but it's a little bit harder, I think, just because of the nature of the circuit. You can get right up close going through into the first sector, but the dirty air really does affect these LMP2 cars going down through the S's, and then, of course, the corners at, what you'd call the top of the lap, really, aren't they? I think turns 6 or is it turns 8 and 9? I think it might be turns 8 and 9. I can't remember. The two horrible right-handers that I can never get right in a GT3 car, let alone an LMP2 car. And then you can have a lot of time in the slipstream, and as Razmez Azam improves actually up into fifth position, very good time for Ramez there, the Canadian driver for Simstar Esports. Well, and in fact, again, it's Simstar Esports all in a row. They're fifth, sixth, and seventh. They've got Alexander Walton out on track. I can't see him at the moment. I'm not sure if we're on scenic camera or not, but he's going to try and improve as well. And you can just see on the left-hand side of the screen all of the different intervals in the timing screens there, and you can just see how close it is. The field spread is really good here for this championship, and that's the thing that me and Chaz been saying all championship long, is that it's just so competitive. The margins for success are ever so thin, and the drivers are finding that every little moment they can to improve, as Alexander Walton goes across the line, not improving on his time for the moment, but he's got a little while left. I think this could be his final flying lap, which I was limited to, I think, 3 flying laps, if I remember rightly. So we're going to see exactly what Alexander Walton can muster here in the Simstar Esports car as he just powers his way out of the corner, jumping over the curbs, but the car is still nice and settled. Look at that, on board, diving through, and then has to slow down once more for the tight right-hander on the power. A little bit of opposite lock, but that's natural. I think in these LMP2 cars, it's so easy to pick up the throttle just that little bit too early and loop the car around, controls it, powers out along down this back straight. And there's another thing to mention as well, is the strategy. When you're in the slipstream, you could actually save a bit of fuel, and these races are 2 hours long, tank limited to 75% of a full load, which means we'll have plenty of pit stops and plenty of drama as the race moves on.
Absolutely. One thing I was actually just interested to see, you look through, look at that. Alexander Walton goes in P2. He's less than 2 tenths off That is Maxime Brient. He's less than 0.17. He is off. That's so close indeed. To be fair, the only other person that is currently, I believe, still out on track is, as you can see there, Daniel Kraft. So he's the only person about to start. Well, it potentially could be his actual last lap. I'm not too sure. We're going to see in a moment. Does he make an improvement on 10th? And he does. So he moves up into P8. And I think, to be fair, the only last person that we have out on track that I can see at the moment is Hugo Preto. He's now going to go through down all the way, going through turn 8. I suppose this is actually, looking at track maps, these is actually classed as 2 turns. Turns 8 and turns 9. Don't ask me why it's straight, but, you know, like I said, that's what the track maps class them as. So that's going to get a little bit confusing. But going down into the main chicane here, just cuts the curb enough that you don't want to get too upset. Again, you know, you don't want to get the balance of the car too out of shape, but it looks to be all okay. Going through last corner, turn 12, flat out right-hander in these cars because it's got the downforce. Does he make an improvement on, that is currently P18? Yes, he does. He is up into P14. And again, the time is, that is a thousandth difference from Evoy Cabanera in Iridium Motorsports. That is so close. That is unreal how close these times are. I can't wait for this race. I don't know about you, but I cannot wait.
Yeah, qualifying is certainly something to behold, hasn't it? I think all of the drivers have done their lap. So you can just talk a little bit about what the race is shaping up to be. And well, Maxime Brient, of course, on pole position. And that's what you expect to see, isn't it, really? The Movano sim racing driver after winning at Daytona, then winning at Silverstone. And here for the SurgeX Road Atlanta Petit P2 Clash, he's put it on P1, pole position for the Frenchman. He's been held very honest, hasn't he, by Alexander Walton, only a 10th of a second, really separating the pair of them. And, well, hopefully we can see that carry on through the rest, because while Maxime Brient, he's a quick driver, he seems to suffer a little bit potentially with fuel usage and strategy. We always see him coming into the pits a little while earlier, and that does potentially leave him vulnerable at times to the to undercuts and things like that, or even overcuts actually, and running out of fuel at the end. But we do still have a driver out on circuit, Stephen Orell, the Scotsman. Will he be able to fly through the final part of this lap and put his car higher than P17 in class?
Well, we're going to find out in a few moments' time. So Stephen Orell, I believe he is at the moment anyway, the last car out on track. I don't know if we're going to have anyone else, although looking at the times, I don't think we're actually going to have enough time. So this is going to be, I think this could very well be last but not least. So yes, Stephen Orell, is he going to improve on currently a P17 position? He has put a lap on the board, a 1:12. Again, look at the gap from the best lap time between Stephen Orell and Chris Pio is from Apex Tech Racing is again another thousandths of a second. I've never seen this many thousandths of a second differences ever in, I think, racing, in my sim racing career in general. Like, this is so close throughout the field. And like you said, Ed, there's racing throughout the field, and it's so close throughout the field as well. So we're going to have our hands full, I am absolutely sure, for the races going on. Mentioned as well, oh no, that was going to go sideways. That was never, oh dear. Yeah, that's what happens when you do run a little bit too far over the curb, as we see Stephen Orell having a little bit of grass cutting there. Not quite making the corner coming out of turn 5. That's the tricky thing. You've got to be so careful. I know I said they were a little bit in between GT cars and LMP1, so you can take a bit of liberties with curbs, but that may just have been a tad too much.
Yes, absolutely. We'll say that margins in terms of the times on track are very thin, but the margins for error at this circuit are ever so thin as well. It's a circuit that really does punish you if you misstep it. If you just try and push it that little bit too hard, the track will bite back and do exactly what we've just seen to Stephen Orell there, bouncing over the curbs, spinning around. These LMP2 cars, the way you need to have them set up to go quick, you need them a bit on a knife edge, just between stability and losing it, just to get the quick lap times out of it. And the very best, of course, are able to capitalize on that and get the very quick times. But I think very shortly we will be able to run you through. And actually having a look at the track conditions going through this session, is that as it's coming into night, we'll have, as you see, the sun is beginning to set and the race soon beginning. It's going to be getting cooler and cooler, and that's probably why we've been seeing in qualifying the time's getting quicker and quicker.
You are absolutely right. This is very true indeed. We're just going to bring up the qualifying positions now for you. As I said, let's go and have a look at, like I said, the main qualifying sessions. We're going to look through the pro category first. So we're just going to bring that up in a few moments' time, and there we go. As you see, apologies, just having a couple of issues there, but we're going to bring that up now, and there we go. So we are having, apologies, we're going to bring those back in a second. Just having a, just going to have a look through. We're actually in a warm up now, so drivers actually have a fair amount of time, don't they, Ed, to actually get to grips with not only the changing conditions, because they're ever getting cooler, but it just gives them a chance to also practice. Look at the lights are already on, so it gives them a bit of chance to practice in these lower light conditions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Got 5 minutes of warm up for the drivers to just get accustomed to the cars on full fuel loads as well. Don't forget they will have taken the fuel out for qualifying. They'll have their different setups on. It's good to get the race setup on board and feel just how the car's going, as we see some drivers having a few mistakes there. There's one car off down at the S's already, and we're going to try and find out if we can bring you the qualifying order. Sometimes the warm-ups in iRacing, sometimes the different sessions do throw a little bit of curveballs our way, and I think it's just done that there. But it gives us the qualifying results, and they shoot up at the top. We can see remnants of the AM category there. We're going to scroll all the way up, and we can see Maxime Brient on pole position here for the third round of the Apex Technologies LMP2 Championship, with Alexander Walton starting alongside him there in second place. Molnar Peter in third, with Bart Horston and Aybola Laval. Sorry, very close indeed. And I'm sorry, Aybola, for mispronouncing your name every single time. Ramez Hazam, though, the Canadian, in sixth position, with Burkhard Maring, Daniel Kraft, Luca Fioravanti, and Alvaro Melendez in the Iridium Motorsports car. Timo Hayden is in 11th, just ahead of Jose Buizan and Eloy Caballero in 13th place. Will he be able to improve and get himself a top 10 with his pace over the recent races? I'd expect to see him there. He can keep it consistent. Hugo Preto there in 14th, ahead of Drew Lloyd, Arthur Figueiredo, and Ivo Lobscher there in 17th place for the Positively Racing car. Then we're going to see James Ebram 18th place, but pole position in the AM category now. The Exothermic Racing driver, very good job indeed to put it on pole position. And then we're going to see 19th place, or, well, I guess second place in AMs if it'll scroll through. It takes a little while sometimes and it's a bit finicky. Here we go. Rodrigo Izovsky there in the FuelTech Esports team. Justin Young in the Bull Out Racing car. Close margins as ever in the AM category. We've got Roy Mars third in AM, Jacob Money and Lee Spicer fourth and fifth respectively, with Manuel Wynance, Will Money, pro driver Roberto Edward, then Hans Blankat, Christopher Stahl, Kamal Hashimi in the Apex Tech car in 29th place. 30th, we're seeing Daniel Andres, Asher Blythe ahead of Mark Winters, EJ Fjellner in 33rd, ahead of Michael Flus, Leon Neuveld, Lee Tucker, Ryan Donaher, Chris Pio, Stephen Orell, and Drew Williams. Rounding out the 40-car field we have here for the SurgeX Road Atlanta Petit P2 Clash. This is going to be one you really don't want to miss. 2 hours of fast, frenetic racing. They basically treat it like a sprint race all the way through. The drivers, they don't have any rest whatsoever. And we really hope you will enjoy all of the action to come in the next few hours, as we have, well, the final moments in warm-up to go, and then the real big boys come out to play, don't they?
They do indeed. This is where it all comes down to that all-important race. It's a long race. You've got to make sure. I bang on about this every single time I commentate or whatever. It's consistency. It's such an important thing. It doesn't matter if you can hit the fastest lap times on the planet. If you can only do it one set of 10 laps and every other you've got to be consistent. That's such a key thing. Fuel as well. I said, these guys have got a 75. These guys have got restricted fuel tanks as well. So fuel saving, ever more key. If you can get that extra time, even if you not necessarily gain an extra lap, as it were, but if you can save an extra couple of seconds in a pit stop. I mean, with how close that we've seen this, Ed, that could be the difference between 1 or even 2 places in some scenarios. I would put money on that it being that close part way through this race.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we will expect to see now as we come into the race session. Maxime Brient, our pole sitter, will make his way to the grid. You have, I think, at this circuit, we get away with about half of a pace lap before we get going, whereas on certain other tracks, you have to wait a little while and we get the full shebang, the full pace lap as we wait. Maxime Brient, somewhere out there in the darkness, will be lining up on the grid as I think, oh, here we go. I think we can start to see them now, just going on the way into the chicane. We're on the comes to that, I think I can see some lights shining there. Yep, here we go. The safety car lining up all of the cars, getting ready for what is going to be a race to remember. Don't forget, this is the third round of a 6-round championship. After this, we'll be halfway through and we'll see who will be coming out on top. Maxime Brient with a lot to prove, really, doesn't he? After winning 2 races on the bounce, will he be able to make it a third, a hat trick of victories from 3 races? He had the pace in qualifying, but it's all down, of course, to getting the start the way he wants to as the cars begin to make their way through the first chicane. And, well, Maxime Brient, he's going to set the pace. He's going to go whenever he feels like he's confident to. He's leading a big gap to the safety car. He's going to get moving very quickly indeed as the safety car pulls into the pit lane now. Maxime Brient, he can set the pace whenever he wants to, and he goes now. He's really catches out Alexander Walton and Molnar Peter in the background, and they all have to go defensive. He's left them all in the dust. They power their way through turn 1, keeping it nice and safe. Please, gents, no dramas here at the moment. I think there might be some things going on further back, but at least for me, I can see the top 20 all getting through nice and safely. Brilliant stuff indeed so far to not have any contact, not any drama. We're seeing Ayebola Laval here in 7th place at the moment, dropping a little bit back from where he started in 5th place. Just got caught out, I think, by how quickly and suddenly Maxime Brient got the race running. Timo Hayden there going down the inside of Luca Fioranti in the DRS Wave Italy car. Look at this, cars powering their way out, single file, getting into the slipstream. What a first lap it has been as well. I don't think there's been too much drivers. There have been a few cars involved and a few scrapes here and there, but on the whole, it's been a very clean and very entertaining first lap so far. Any moves being made, though, into the first chicane, or into the final chicane, really. No moves going on just yet. Start to try and get into the rhythm now as Roy Mars in 3rd position in AM. I think that just allows Hugo Preto to move on through. CCTS Esports car, the 107. Very well done indeed. Up 1 position. Christopher Stahl, he's doing well for himself. He's up 7 positions since the start of the race, and you can see the AM driver in front. He might want to try and make it yet another position.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, that was a very clean start as well. So everyone's obviously paid their attention to the driver's briefing, which is always nice to see. I'm just having a look at the gap up ahead, though. Look at that. Maxime Brient look at the gap that he's got at the moment. That gap is 1.73 seconds already, and I think, yeah, he's proving himself at the moment. I know it's only been a lap, so you can't say anything too much. But I mean, when you look at the gap already, I think, yeah, he's definitely got some pace. Is there going to be a move though between? That is Bart Horston. He's going to try and have a look, but thinks twice of it. So he tries to go up into P2 from Alexander Walton, but he gets the door quite quickly shut in his face, as he would expect to. Like I said, it's a very big break. It's all someone kicking up dust there. That could have been potentially Molnar Peter. I think was getting a little bit squirrely. Managed to keep it all in check though, but that has potentially put him under. We're just going to move back though to Ramez Azam, so he's going to be putting pressure. Oh, another. I tell you what, Molnar Peter is really pushing his car hard. You can see that already. Got to be a little bit careful because the tyres still aren't fully up to temperature yet. They're going to take a bit more time because the track is colder. So that's one of the things. These guys can't push their cars too hard because otherwise, well, I mean, we saw it with we saw it a couple of times in qualifying. If you push the tyres and push the car too much when the tyres are cold, that's not going to end well, as we have seen.
No, absolutely, but I think we have seen just a little while ago, actually, the reason why Maxime Brient has already got that gap to where it is needed 2 seconds. It's because he was able to get ahead and clear the gap. He wasn't under pressure for the opening lap, didn't have to worry about any cars behind him. He could just focus fully in front of him, as we see what has happened here to Roberto Edouard.
Not entirely sure, actually. To be fair, we just caught the tail end of that. Apologies, just going to go back to the racing action. But yeah, we just caught the tail end of that, so not entirely sure. Those car looks a bit poorly, and unfortunately, he has gone back to the pits. So I'm not entirely sure what happened, but like I said, we're going to be may get another few camera angles of that later on. But at the moment here, looking further down the field with gaps, oh, we're having a bit of a scrap that we can see there with. Oh, that's going to be through. Oh, I thought that was going to be 3 wide going through. It's still nearly 2 wide. They're going to go 2 by 2. Noah's Ark style, potentially going through into the last corner, going through into turn 1. Oh, what we can do is actually Blythe. He's going to make a move, going to go in the inside of turn 1. Thinks better of it though. That was a very, very wide there from Kamal Hashimi. So he was really, I think he was actually trying to maybe a bit too polite and trying to almost leave the door open for Asia. Currently P7 in class. Who is that behind us?
That was Jacob Money and Andy Spice having some very spicy action indeed, going through the final corner and then into the first corner, chopping and changing positions each way and every way. Jacob Money, look at that. He's so eager to get through. He sends it down the inside. Oh, it's a corner. You can't really make a move, but he pulls it off anyway. Wow. Well done. Take it out up to Jacob Money there. That was a brilliant pass there. And, well, certainly got the skills to pay the bills, has Jacob Money. He's down 3 positions since the start, but he's making his way back up through the field as we see a new fastest lap coming through for, who is that? That's Alexander Walton, actually, with a fast lap at the moment. So the Sinister Esports car doing very well indeed. Meanwhile, Jacob Money, look at that. He's trying to carve away through the field again, looking to the inside for the final corner. It might just be unsettling his own run, actually, because look at that. Andy Spice is going to try and carve back through. And in fact, actually, might have been. Oh, where on earth has Andy Spice gone? Oh, it's all kicking off now. They're all kicking off because that's Asher Blythe as well getting involved in the mix. It's everywhere we look. There's always something going on, isn't there?
There is indeed, yeah, absolutely. So these guys obviously got to be a little bit careful. They've got a long old way to go. They've got a 2-hour race. Take it easy, chaps. Like I said, there's a long way to go. We can see Jacob Money took a bit of damage though. I think he may have got tapped going through into turn 1, but he's going to try and make another move. That's going to go up Emmanuel Vinat. So he's now going to go up the inside again. What a move going through there. So that's 2 out of 2. That Jacob Money has now made the move going through into turn 6 that was turn 6 actually, apologies, not turn 7, as I was just about to correct myself wrongly. So yeah, turn 6 was the move made, so 2 out of 2 for Jacob Money. So he is now leading this train. A little bit concerning though for him now, because he hasn't got a draft in front of him, and yet everyone behind him has. So whether there's going to be any more moves, I'm not too sure, although look at that. So Finance is really, really trying to make the move stick. Can't quite do it though, going through into the chicane. For lap number 6, going on to lap number 7. Bit of a gap now, actually, looking at that, as we can see there. We're going to bring the battle box up as well, just so you can see what's going on at this moment. The gap, 1.4 seconds to Hashimi. So we're going to have to look at the lap times and check on those and see if we do have some of those, some more battles developing further later on in this race. Just going to move forward now to this is we've got a bit of a train sort of up ahead with Bert Cardmering. This is, I'd say, it's one of the things that we've got. The cars have actually spread out, but I don't really think it's going to be enough. That's Burkhard Murray going to go defensive, trying to stop Luca Filiavanti. Going to try and come through. He does quite make the move stick, but this is actually losing him time. You can see flashing. I wonder if Luca is flashing him, saying, "Let's not fight. Let's just pull forward," because the gap is already moving. The gap is already increasing from P7 to P. So I wonder if Luca flashed him saying, "I'm not going to fight you. Let's just crack on and work together," because that's a key point as well. If drivers can work together, that always pays dividends for both parties involved, not just one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they've been saying that because they're trying to catch back up to Ibola Laval there in the Scooter Raguna's car. The driver that I think has been making up a few positions since the start of the race, dropped back down, but then kept the fight going, kept up through, and he's actually caught back up now to this long car train. In fact, it's a train that I think extends all the way up to a 3rd place, which is the reason why Luca Fioravanti probably doesn't want to have this fight, doesn't want to lose time and lose contact to the podium fight, because, well, he wants to try and have the best chance of scoring a good result. And this is exactly what we saw at Daytona, where we have a massive train going on all the way from, well, the podium places all the way down to, well, I think that's down to 10th position. So that's, say what, 8 drivers all in contention for podiums at the moment. We're not entirely sure which way it's going to come out, because of course the strategy comes into effect. And we expect to see the cars in around about 30 to 25 minutes from now. I'd say close to 30 minutes from now, and we'll expect plenty of drama to unfold. Then when it does, meanwhile, Hugo Preto in the PRT esports car hunting down Drew Lloyd here. This is a fight for 15th in class. Close margins as well. Hugo Preto just backing out a little bit, not wanting to get too close up behind it, and gets good power out of the corner. And who is that? Is that someone with a slowdown? I think that might be, or it might have been a backmarker just trying to get out of the way. And Hugo Preto really hard on the brakes, trying to avoid contact there with Drew Lloyd. Does very well, but he loses quite a lot of time. And Wally would have been right up behind the rear diffuse, the rear wing of Drew Lloyd here, but now he's because of that. As we come back now, Hugo Preto losing out a little bit there, but closing back on in. One last as well in the CCTS esports car. He's about 3 seconds back, but he's been showing good pace at the moment. And if these drivers continue to fight, we'll expect to see him closing on in. Apologies though, I think we have a slight issue here because racing has had a bit of a moment here for Daniel, I think, so we'll try and be able to bring you the pictures back very shortly indeed. I can do a bit of a radio show at the moment if you need, Dan, while we get the BBC4 radio shows when they do Formula 1. I can talk you through, and Hugo Preto still up behind Drew Lloyd at the moment. No positions being made. Meanwhile, up higher in the order, we've got Molnar Pizza. He's going to be trying to seek to find a higher position, see if there's any way through. He's fighting all the way through, and this fight for the podium position is still going on, still brewing away. Ramazazam. Daniel Andres is getting locked in a battle, a titanic battle actually, between himself, Christopher Stahl just ahead, and then Hans Blanchard further back. This is a bit of a fight brewing on here for 20th position. Daniel Andres goes down the inside of turn one, makes the move stick. Nicely done for the PRT esports driver, getting that move done nice and cleanly. But credit to Christopher Stahl as well. Didn't fight it too hard, didn't want to take any unnecessary risks, then gets right back up behind, going through the S's. Daniel Andres makes a slight mistake at the crest of the hill before plunging down. Gaps ebbing and flowing all throughout. Going now to see Eli Caballero getting passed, I think, by James Ebram into the chicane. James Ebram making the move stick, but then Eli Caballero getting back into the slipstream, slotting down the inside. Here we go. Sorry again, everyone, for the iRacing issue. It just appears that it was a crash moment. We'll try and get it moving back up. Getting back into the session very shortly. We can soon bring you pictures. Eli Caballero did get back ahead of James Ebram, used the slipstream to his advantage, was past going into the chicane, but then, well, not even into the chicane, got past on the straightaway, then slot back into the slipstream and made the position back on to the race. Great driving for the Iridium Motorsports car. Moving back, though, to the fight between Hans Blanchard and Daniel Andres in the Iridium Motorsport car. 20th place, fighting ahead, trying to keep hold of a very good position indeed. Will he be able to pull it off, though? That's the real question. Don't forget as well, this is a fight. Hans Blanchard, he is in the AM category, and Daniel Andres behind him is classed as a pro driver, so he doesn't need to have this fight, but he does feel like he's quicker, and if he is quicker, he's got the ability and is allowed to race up in front of us. I think we are going to get pictures coming through now. We have the issue again. If you have just joined us, we explained earlier, we have lost pictures for a moment, but I think we're loading back up into the server now, and we can I think, can we hand over to you just yet? Have we got everything sorted?
We have indeed. We are back. Apologies, everyone. It's always the way, isn't it? Nothing really happens. Then deciding at that particular moment the PC wasn't going to PC anymore. But we're back. So we have got the battle on our hands here. We are on board with, at the moment, or on your screen currently, the main focus is Jacob Muddy, but he is in the battle with, that is, looking at that's Asia Blind. They're going to go, potentially, I thought they were going to go 3 wide. Then no, they're going to go 2 wide instead. So that is between... Daniel Angelo is getting very, very wide indeed. He can't quite keep the move. He's going to try and he's getting pressured massively by Jacob Money, but he manages to keep it all in check at this moment in time. But the gap, though, has opened up. So Kamal Hashimi has really pulled away. So he's capitalised on this, and he is making some moves. And he is, at the moment, off into the distance. So that battle, I'm sure, will resume very, very shortly indeed. So Jacob Money going to try to make another move through turn 6. Doesn't quite manage it this particular run. I'm just having a look a bit further up the field as well. There's a few more battles going on, and we're going to see that this is going to be so close between battles. We already know what's going to happen, and from qualifying, yeah, this is going to be absolutely fantastic stuff to watch. Is there going to be a move made for? Is Dan Rose? Is he going to have to defend? He just about looks defending, doesn't really defend it too hard. Jacob Muddy going to go up the inside. He makes that move stick. Yes, please. Thank you very much. Done and dusted. And off he goes. He's actually Daniel Andres. He's going to lose a position. He's lost 2 positions in 1 corner. So he's now gone down, unfortunately, all the way. He's dropped 2 positions, P17 class. So Asia Blythe has now made the move. I'm actually having a look through. So these are actually battles not even in class. So you can see that the battles that are happening here, probably why he didn't actually defend too much. But yeah, going to go through further up the field at this moment in time. So we have Luca Fioravanti, who's going to potentially, is he going to try and make a move going through into, no, he's going to have to try and defend from, that is Timo Hayden. That's going to have, no, apologies, no, it's not, that is Burkhard Mehring that he's going to have to defend for. So he did try and try the move, but thought better of it. Again, I'm not entirely sure now, I'm not too sure what he's flashing him for. Could it be maybe again sort of like try and maybe he's saying to him, let me buy and then we can pull each other along? I don't know. This is it's unknown with us, isn't it? We don't know this sort of stuff, but I'm guessing that could be why as well. That could be another potential reason why he's flashing it. I'm not entirely sure.
It could just be a driver being frustrated that he got past.
Oh, okay, but maybe I'm actually thinking too much into it.
It might just be, I'm annoyed you got past me. Just don't do that. I want to be ahead. Let me be in front, please. And it's nothing, anything like that. It's just, oh, I'm really annoyed that you passed me kind of thing. Even though it was a fair, clean move from Burkhard Mehring as the ever other racing driver, though. You do, of course, want to be the one to lead. You want to be the one in front because then you can control the pace and worry too much about everything going on. Meanwhile, though, Luca Fioravanti could be under pressure from Timo Hayden. The gap closing down 0.2 of a second, but look at that, all down hard onto the brakes, getting through on one of the back markers. Did very well to avoid any dramas. That did hold up Timo Hayden further behind though, so that's given Luca Fioravanti a bit more breathing space. He can focus now on catching back up to the rear bumper of Burkhard Mehring up in front, focus on his race and yeah, back up to where he feels he probably should be. Having a look throughout the field as well, I think we can see fights going on. Jacob Money, I think, is locked in a fight again with Hans Blankart. Let's try and have a look here. Yes, we go hard onto the brakes. Jacob Money trying around the outside for the chicane. Great defensive driving there, Hans Blankart, not giving him the inside whatsoever, holding it off very firmly indeed. But look at that. Oh, a bit of a squeeze and off. We see Hans Blankart. Does he recollect the car? Yes, he does. Brilliant job. He kept that out of the wall.
Oh,
amazing
my goodness.
Stuff from the Stage 1 racing driver there. Honestly, if we can get a replay of that, because that was amazing car control. It's just a squeeze on the apex of the final corner. Here we go on board. We're going to just see how he's able to hold this. Through the corner, slight bit of contact, nothing too major. Look at that. Amazing stuff.
That was absolutely incredible. I just want to watch that again from a slightly different camera angle because I want to see what just... Oh, no, that's the wrong camera angle. We're going to look at it from... It just looked to be... Apologies, just want to have a quick look at that again. So this is the TV camera 3. So we just see, again, there's obviously side by side. It was going to happen. It's just that small amount of contact. I don't think there was any... There was sort of no harm, no foul, I think, between both parties. It happened to be that as they came through, I mean, Hans Blankart, I mean, there's no more to say than that, really, is there? That's the best. That's one of the best saves I've ever seen. You know, obviously, granted, not exactly what he wanted to do, but making the best of a bad situation. Yeah, I mean, fair play. I've just had a look as well. So Ivo Laubscher in the Positively Racing car has just got past Roy Maths. That's not for position though. That's out of class positions. So that's a move that's made. Although, again, just having a look through, there's a couple more positions being made. Again, they're actually people out of class, but this is one of the other things to note there. We just had a look, and we just had Jose Buisen. He's from the Iridium Motorsports. He's actually just got past Justin Young. Now, I wonder, I suppose this is the thing that drivers have actually got to be a little bit cautious of and be a little bit careful of, is that potentially it's going to be a move made back from Justin. He doesn't want to give that position too much, even though this isn't actually in class. So I think this is one of the things, having both these classes out on track, you've got to be careful, but you don't necessarily make... But I suppose you don't want to get held up by a car that's not actually in your class. There's a bit of tactics there and a bit of strategy there as well. Although, like I said, Justin wasn't really having any of it. He wanted to get past Bison again, but he doesn't quite manage it. So those positions stay as and when they are. So that is apparently that's the gaps going forward through there. But again, I mean, there's a lot of battles. There's sort of like there's the three sort of like fixed battles that are going through. Cars that you just got to be slightly careful of. In fact, that is we just had a. We're going to have a replay here. That is Dion Neuveld that's had a bit of a moment. Oh, this is going through into the last corner. What happens here? Oh dear, that's more than a big moment. Oh, that's more than a small moment. And he's that's in the last corner. Looks like he just tapped the wheel on the grass. And unfortunately, that is going to be heavily, heavily damaged. Not ideal.
Dion Neuveld there. We just saw it. Just as you mentioned, just happened to wheel out onto the grass, and as soon as you do that in these cars, you just go straight on, don't you? The car almost tram lines on the grass, and you can't really do anything at that point other than try and kick it around, maybe slide it through and do what we saw earlier, wasn't it? That massive slide to hold onto the car. Let's see if Hans Blankart, though, after that moment, will be able to catch his way back up through the field. Meanwhile, there's still a lot of fighting going on. Jose Buisen leading this little train here. Justin Young right behind him. Drew Lloyd and Hugo Preto actually close as well. I think that is Drew Lloyd and Hugo Preto very close together. Yes, it is Hugo trying to chase down the Rennie Racing car. See what he can do. His Petit esports machine. Well, I think he is the lone entrant in PRT esports this championship. So he's got all of his teammates in the Discord, all his teammates in whatever platform he uses, all cheering him on, I am sure, seeing if he can make it though, because, well, Drew Lloyd, he is in the slipstream of Justin Young, on board with Hugo Preto. He's catching in the slipstream, but not close enough, putting on the pressure though, because Drew Lloyd going defensive, maybe not when he should be, because there wasn't really a chance to send a move there. It's too far back, but that defensive move has allowed Hugo Preto to really catch up. He got a good drive out of the final corner. Is he going to be able to have a look down the inside for turn one? He's going to think about it. He's going to brake a little bit earlier, though. Backs out of the move. Doesn't want to take any silly risks early on in the race, and instead consolidates back down. But he's hitting up all of his apexes, even with the dirty air. He's really gotten the car how he wants it. He's got good control of it and doing a brilliant job. But it's all about being close, and then you've got to pass through. Jacob Money as well, I think, is in a fight here, potentially with Asher Blythe. Let's see if that is the case, because if that is potentially for fourth in class. Yes, it is. Jacob Money trying to close back down. The gap was a little bit closer before this little S's section. And again, we're just trying to see if he can close it back down once more. Fighting everywhere we're looking, really. It's difficult to see as we see Justin Young. He's going to try and go down the inside of Drew Lloyd. Flash the headlight shows I'm making the move, whether you like it or not. But that was a very cooperative move, I think, from... Was that just behind him? That was actually just Young moving out of the way. Very cooperative indeed. Not needing to fight with the pro driver, of course, because that doesn't change the amount of points he scores at the end of the race. His fight is between himself and James Ebram, about 4 seconds up the road. And then Roy Mars, who himself is, say, what is that, about 13 seconds back. So he's in a little bit of a world of his own, is Justin Young at the moment. But he just needs to keep hitting his marks, planning his race strategy, and it's going to come to him in the end.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, save fuel. you may as well save some fuel. Save as much fuel as you can. But then you've got an advantage because you haven't got anyone really pressuring you, so you may as well save even more fuel. It's one of those things where I think sometimes it can be almost forgotten about, that time can easily be made up in the pits. Obviously, we're going to see, probably not actually too far away from seeing the first amount of pit stops that are going to come through. I can imagine maybe around sort of the half-hour mark we're going to see some pit stops. But we will have to see. We've got a couple of replays here that we've got Andy Spicer has had a bit of an excursion. We're going to see where that is. That's coming through up into the hill, turn 3 that is. Is he going to try? Oh, yeah, a little bit wide. That was, I wonder if we did see a car that was actually off. Oh, there's 2 cars off actually. I'm not entirely sure who that was. Couldn't quite see who that is, but yeah, that was Andy Spicer having a small excursion, but he is on the way again. We've got Hand Blancart that's had a bit of a moment going through. That is again turn 3. Oh no, that's going to be in a wall. Oh dear. Luckily, damage probably wasn't that bad, although damage nevertheless. So definitely not what you want. He is being patient though, so fair enough. He wasn't reversing completely out on track, so he was trying to be as cautious as he can with the rejoin, and all is well with the world. So yeah, and we actually got Andy Spicer's one that's just come through. He's had another excursion going through. This is going through into turn 6. That looks to be very, very. Oh dear. I wonder if he locked. Oh, that's a bit of a nasty shot. I wonder if he had some. Or maybe locked his brakes up quite heavily there. It's very, very hard to unlock the brakes if you do lock them. But that was carrying quite a lot of speed going through into turn 6. So not entirely sure what really was the cause of that. But he does get going again. Oh, hello. There's a bit of a. I would say a battle here, but again, this is for. This isn't for class positions. This is more so for. Actually, battles, just back markers and allowing people through. Again, the big thing, you don't want to lose time. It's so easy to lose some time if you sit behind or you try and defend too aggressively from back markers. So Hans Blackout, he is just letting people through as and when he can in the safest possible positions. Looking further up the field at this point, we've got, this is James Ebram again. We're just going to go back and forth because the gap is still very, very close indeed. To himself, and I'm trying to look at the car behind him. That is Jose Buisen. That is again actually in different classes. So both of these drivers still fighting, I suppose, to a certain extent, even though they're in completely different classes, which is interesting to say the least. But the gap has started to open up a little bit, so not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. I'm just having a look at Maxime Brient. The gap 4.5 seconds. So. The gap at the moment from the leader in the pro is just ever increasing. That was a very, very late lunge there from that was Breeson that decided, nope, I want to make the move. Off we go. And James Ebram wasn't fighting it at all. No need at the end of the day because again, these drivers are in 2 completely different classes. So you've got to make sure you play and drive and race with your class rather than try and hold up each other.
Absolutely, yeah. And this. Fights going on all throughout the field, aren't there? There's a little bit of a battle brewing on just behind this train as well. Drew Lloyd, I think, has got Hugo Preto and Justin Young for company in the background. A 3-way fight for 14th overall. And actually, Drew Lloyd and Hugo Preto themselves, that is a fight for class position with Justin Young right behind him, the driver. In fact, actually, Justin Young has been able to close up that margin between first and second. It was nearly 3.5 seconds. It's now down to just 3 seconds in the AM category. So, Justin Young's been able to sort of avoid all of the fighting, slot in behind the pro drivers. It's really working out for him because now he's closing the margin down to first place in AMS. We might see that closing in as the drivers are making their way into the pit lane now. Maxime Brient, our race leader, coming into the pits now with just about 27 minutes gone in this race. And well, that's a very early pit stop indeed for some of these drivers. And it's about who's been able to save the most fuel, who's maybe lost out. I was thinking maybe if the drivers could make it to 30 minutes, they'd be able to potentially get away with it. But no, they just haven't been able to materialize for them at the moment, and that means that we might be seeing a few extra pit stops come the end of the race if they've misjudged their fuel.
Potentially, yeah. This is one of the things. It's you got to try and make sure. I mean, yeah. Ideally, you want the same amount of pit stops. You want to be pitting on the half hour or just after the half hour, I should say, as we see everyone else going in the pit. So, I've just had a look. We've actually had a couple of people. So that is Bart Horston, who has actually gone through. So he's now provisionally in the lead. So this is what he's wanting, and this is good for him because everyone else in front of him currently is pitted. We've had a couple of other people. Melendez has just gone in the pits, as you can see. Cabanero, he's just about to go in the pits. Yep, so he's in the pits also as well. At the moment, I think Bart Horston, he's sitting pretty at this moment in time. I mean, yeah, you actually look. Buisen is just about to leave, I think, coming out of the pits. Yes, he is. So he's just about to... actually, no, apologies, he's not exiting. He's carrying on track. So both of those drivers are still out on track. Yeah, you need to get at least to the half-hour mark. Or, potentially, if you know how long the fuel is going to last, you need to save a little bit every single time and save a little bit every single time. So whether these drivers are maybe sort of driving really quite aggressively for the first stint and then saving the fuel. I mean, to be fair, you've got to... I mean, that's, what, 2 laps worth of fuel? That's quite a lot. I can imagine that's maybe sort of 5 litres, 5.5 litres. That's quite a lot that you need to save, and already half hour is nearly gone. That's quite a lot of time. Are we going to see, though? Yes, we do indeed. So, Bart Horston, he's now the man, obviously, that won't be in pole position, won't be leading when he does leave. But at the same time, it's very, very good. He's made that extra lap stick. So if he can do that a couple more times, he's easily going to make 4 stops. And move through that last stop. It's going to be close, but he will make it. Other drivers, not entirely sure. They've got to probably have a real think about maybe making some potential sort of like heavy fuel saving measures at this moment in time. But the gap here, this is Ramez Azam that's currently just behind. That is Maxime Brient. So Maxime, you had a bit of a slow stop because the gap definitely should not have been that going forward. I wonder if it's going to actually... I love that camera angle. Such a cool camera angle. That you really get a sense of the speed these cars are carrying. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, so Maxime Brient, Alexander Walton, he is still out on track. So he's made it past, and he'll be making it past the 30-minute mark going through into the pits when he does. Yeah,
I think Alexander Walton has actually already been in and out of the pits, so we haven't changed for the lead here, Dan.
Do you know what? You're right. I've just had a look. You are right. You are absolutely correct. So Alexander Walton, I wonder what actually happened there. So yeah, Alexander Walton has jumped by, I wouldn't say a considerable margin, but jumped nevertheless. This is getting very, very sketchy now as we go through. I mean, this is the 3-way battle for the lead here. Going to be a 3-way battle potentially very, very quickly because the gap, yes, it is 3.8 seconds. We're going to have to look. You can just see going out of shot just now is Alexander Walton. I wonder if Ramez is going to actually work. I know I keep saying it, but I wonder if he's going to work with Brient to try and see if they can catch up to Walton, who has made a very, very good strategic move at this moment in time and is currently leading. Fair play. Yeah,
I mean, we saw it last time at Silverstone as well, that Maxime Brient isn't the quickest through the pit lane. I'm not entirely sure what happens. We're not seeing anything on the event viewer that has flared anything up at us, so Maxime Brient might just be struggling a little bit with the pit entry or maybe even pit exit or getting it stopped for his box. But Ramez Azam, as you said there, Dan, having a bit of a sharp intake of breath there as we thought it was going to all end in tears. Ramez Azam, he's not hanging about whatsoever, is he? He's really putting the pressure on Maxime Brient for the moment. And Maxime Brient, is he starting to feel the pressure? Is he going to crack soon, or will he be able to hold on and clear the margins? Of course, he's got the downhill S's that help him with the dirty air, but then because after these next 2 corners, it is the long, not quite so straight into the chicane. No slipstream ahead for Maxime Brient to hook up to and use his advantage. Ramez Azam will close down, but 7/10 is a gap that's too large, I think, for any moves to be sent into the chicane. The gap's going to ebb and flow, and Ramez Azam, he's just trying to catch Maxime Brient off guard, I think, with moves like that going into the first corner. But is it going to pay off for him? I don't think so. He's going to have to try and make sure it's nice and clean, get nice and close, and then make the move into the chicane.
Absolutely. Apologies, everyone, for that small squeaking noise that I made just back then. But I can imagine Ed may have had to turn his headphones down. You may be seeing a bit more of that. I mean, definitely Ramez Azam proving me wrong and saying no, he didn't want to actually sit behind and try and work together. He's decided he wants to get P2. The gap has already come down though. The gap is now 3.1 seconds from Maxime and Alexander. So we're gonna have to watch that. That is going to come down even further. The gap is also extending from Ramez and Maxime. So yeah, I think maybe Ramez Azam may have got a little bit over ego going through into turn 1 and has obviously dropped that position, but he's still in tow. That's the more important thing. He is still in a tow window, so he's still going to get a draft, so it's going to pull him along. He has got, that's Molnar Peter from Impulse Racing behind, But I don't think really at this moment in time it's going to be too much of an issue that he has to worry about. Although, again, look at the gap. It's extended now to 0.8 of a second, as you can see on the timing tower on the left-hand side. We've got the intervals there. So, or the gap though, 2.1, I wonder potentially could it be tyres? I don't know if but the gap has actually come down quite considerably. So I don't know if the gap has actually, actually no, the gap hasn't come down. That's, yeah, it's around the sort of like hovering about 2.5. So we're going to have to keep an eye out. Maxime Brient, he did take 0.3 out of Walton though, in that last lap, just under 0.4 actually. So yeah, we're going to have to see that. I'm sure the gap will start coming down even further. So that's going to be a battle that we're going to be very eager to see moving forward. As we have actually got a replay here again of, we've actually got a couple of replays we're going to have a look through now. This is Andy Spicer. Again, he's had another little excursion. This is going through turn 1. Oh, there was a back marker there that may have set him off, but unfortunately that's another bit of damage. That's probably quite a hefty amount of damage there from Andy Spicer, but he does keep the car going, which is the main thing. Timo Hayden, though, he's had a bit of excursion. This is going through into turn 1 again. Does he clip the curb a little bit? Oh, yeah, I think he just, yeah, just a bit of speed carried through into turn 1. Oh. Nice, to be fair, I think he, oh dear, that was close. That was very close indeed. Whoever was that behind, well avoided. But I think he does manage to just keep Carter about. I'd like to see another replay of that so we can go on the roll bar. Again, great camera angle to see what actually happens. A bit of understeer, but you could see that. Just look at the amount of steering lock. A little bit too fast going through. I mean, a brush with the wall. But I think the car seems to be all okay. I'm hoping it's all okay. But yeah, that was lucky, I think, to a certain extent.
Yeah, definitely not lucky to have the incident in the first place, but very lucky with the sort of severity of it. He did knock the left-hand side a little bit. It's hard to see in the dark, of course, but I think the left-hand side has crumpled a bit, but he should be able to live and fight another day. This is Drew Williams here. This is going on the exit of the chicane, dips a wheel out onto the grass on exit, spins around very violently actually and hits into the wall. The car just goes on you like that. If you make a mistake on what's happened here with Hans Blanca, is that him having a moment going through the final corner?
Oh my dear, look at that car. That has definitely seen better days. Just have another, oh, just taps the wheel on the grass going through turn 12, and that is game over. That is game over. I mean, the repair is going to be quite hefty on that. I mean, to be fair, he's managing to keep it going. As we see, that was, I don't know who that was there, but yeah, car's crabbing, car's done. I think, unfortunately, that was a real big shame for Hans Blancart there, but yeah, as you can see, car looking a little bit worse for wear. Not what we want to see, but it's just, this is where the LMP part of this car, I mean, to be fair, any car going through turn 11 and turn 12, if you tap a wheel on the grass, that is maybe, I think the only thing you might be able to save is like maybe a Skip Barber car or the MX-5. Apart from that, you're not really sport with choice. Oh, hello, this is a battle going on here. This is Hugo Preto, and I believe that is Alvaro Melendez that's going to try and have a move. It's actually a three-way battle with, look at that, that's James Ebram that's currently leading in the AM category. But he's just trying to sort of like almost sit behind these guys and let them battle. As I said, no, he's not. He's actually going to try and make the move on Alvaro Melendez. So he's now made the move. Like I said, this is out of class as well. But that move is going to be made probably to the dismay of Melendez, because he's dropped a fair few seconds now from Hugo Preto. So he's going to try and he's going to have to make up all of that time again. Yeah,
exactly. As we see the two Money brothers, I think, having a bit of a fight. Jacob Money and Will Money fighting for position. This is a fight for 5th position in AMS. Two positively racing teammates, as well as, are they brothers, Dan? I'm not sure. Are they brothers?
They are indeed.
Oh, so sibling rivalry. You'll have to see it. We're going to see if there's any love lost between them. Those they go down into the final chicane. Nice, clean, respectful racing from the pair and their teammates, their brothers. You'd expect it from them, but is Jacob Money going to try and have a fight back? No, I think he doesn't quite want to. In fact, it's Jacob Money jumping into the pit lane. That's a very out of sync pit stop for Jacob Money there. I'm not sure what has happened for him, but he's come into pits very early indeed.
Yeah, interesting. I've known both Jacob and Will for a very, very long time. Very respectable, very good racers indeed. So yes, I have known them for actually race partly for Positively Racing as well. So I did a bit of racing for these guys, and these are actually the team that got me into sim racing, back into sim racing, I should say, with my own rig and everything. And yeah, these sort of guys really helped me through it to the start of it, which was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, good bunch of guys, and yeah, intrigued to see why Jacob Money has pitted. I might even get some inside information if I can find it for you, Ed. But yeah, we're going to have a look at and just see if I can get some get some more information from you. Looking further up the field, we've got a bit of a battle. I say a bit of a battle. It's getting ever closer. This is Bart Horsten and Burkhard Mehring. Still battle raging. I say raging on. It's about half a second, which, to be fair, in these sort of terms, in endurance racing, we've been going for just under 40 minutes. That gap is still pretty good indeed. But this is where now we start to see, I wouldn't say strategy really sort of playing into a part into it, but it's more so the pit stops. Like whereabouts are the pit stops going to be? How are people going to be moving forward? Obviously, because Bart Horsten, like I said, he went the extra lap on pretty much everyone ahead of him, which could play very well into good stead. Maybe not even necessarily he's going to make the extra, people have to do a bit of a splash and dash, but he's going to be able to take less fuel. You would think he would actually take less fuel in the pit stop, which would essentially make him, obviously, a shorter pit stop, which would put him up the positions. He's got a bit of a gap to the car ahead, about 3.8 seconds, but if he can put his lap times in, he took just under a tenth out of Ayabola, then yeah, you can see if he does make an extra couple of seconds in the pit stops, then that's going to be very, very close indeed. And we don't even know it yet. We've got an hour and 20 minutes left, and there's positions that could be played for that we don't even know about yet, Ed.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, the battle that you said is hotting up in the driver, in the commentator's analogies, it's not quite up to a boil yet. It's simmering away. I think it's getting there, isn't it? It's brewing up. It's in the background. We can see it forming lap after lap. The gap now dipped under 0.3 of a second for a moment there, so it's getting ever closer. Meanwhile, of course, Ivo Lobscher there in the Positively Racing car. Is he going to be able to catch up to Drew Lloyd and make a pass into the chicane? He's going to catch in the slipstream. It'll be a lunge if he makes it. Oh my word, he's going for it though. He passes down the inside. Is that Drew Lloyd just being a bit kind, giving him the inside, not wanting to fight, not wanting to cost himself any time? I think that might be. So Ivo Lobscher up into 14th position in class now. Let's see what can happen. Meanwhile, of course, James Ebram and Justin Young, that gap is dropping down, and it could be very shortly underneath 1 second for the AM category. Meanwhile, of course, Alexander Walton as well as being closed up to and caught by Maxime Brient in all of this. So we could begin to see fights brewing both in the AM category for the AM lead, but also in the overall and pro category, because now look, underneath 1 second, looking back, you can see the headlights of Maxime Brient there just in the shot. He's closing down, he's hunting down the first place that he put on pole for. He's not been able to lead every lap, so not the Grand Slam for Maxime Brient at the moment, but he's going to try and pull it off, nonetheless pull off the race victory.
He is indeed. We just saw there a bit of a back marker that's actually really helped. I think, to be fair, that helped Brient a little bit more. So the gap has come down yet another tenth of a second, just that last lap alone. So Alexander Walton, 109.72, and Maxime Brient, 108.95. So 0.8 of a second quicker was Brient that particular lap. And this lap is going to be very, very quick as well. We're just going to come up with the line. So 109.07 for Walton and 108.95 for Brient. So both very, very quick lap times indeed. Looking at the gaps, though, we have Ramez Azam. He's probably wanting these guys to battle, obviously. He's going to want these guys to battle, hold each other up as much as they can, so we can then catch back up, because that gap has now gone up to, well, it's teetering between 2.7 and 3 seconds. So he's going to be wanting them to battle. We had a bit of a... we've got a couple of replays to go through, Ed. So we have Bart Horsten. He's gone a little bit off that... Well, that was... I never like a replay when it pops up to... Oh, not entirely sure. Apologies for that. Not entirely sure what happened there. We've actually got another replay from Lee. Oh, dear. That wasn't good. Yeah, that was definitely a... Oh, he's on the racing line as well. Oh, well avoided by whoever that was. Ooh, well avoided. Well avoided indeed. Jose Buisan, he's had a bit of a moment going through into that turn 6. Oh, you can see the car. Oh, I think he may have got caught out there by whoever that was in front of him. I think just going a little bit slower. And yeah, I don't think he was really expecting that to happen. We just got to replay it.
Let's have a look. So we get some thought. Yeah, he does. He has a slight knock on the front of the car. I thought it was actually going to be the curb on the exit. It just dipped one wheel off onto the curb, the rest on the road surface. That slight elevation change from the rear of the car to all the other tyres might have set it off, but no, it was just getting caught out from a car that was slow on exit. It's easily done, but it's unfortunate that it happened, of course. Meanwhile, We're seeing about Horston and Burkhardt Maring have a bit of a fight. About Horston popping in and out, so we're going to go on board with Burkhardt just so we don't have the cameras jutting around everywhere for you. They're knocking out a few cones in the process as he's blinking left, right, and centre. Poor innocent victims of whatever on earth is going on with Bart Horston's internet situation. He is a Australian driver, but from what I can remember, he is in Europe, so he shouldn't be too out of sync with everything going on circuit. Meanwhile, this is Drew Lloyd hunting down Ivo Lobsher up in front. Ivo Lobsher there in 14th place. We already saw that position change once. Is he going to try and fight back and get back up into 15th place? Not with understeer like that, he's not.
No, not ideal at all. You can just see the actual build-up, the understeer. So it looks to be a bit of a late turn-in also. But as the car sort of builds up understeer, you can just see more and more lock being applied and nothing really happening. This is one of the traits you've got to be nice and careful. You've got to make sure that the front end. I always find that driving this car is a lot of driving the Porsche GTE car, the 911. It's a very, very similar category. You know, the way in the driving style. You've got to sort of pitch the car in and be nice and smooth. Anything more than about 90 degrees worth of lock really doesn't benefit you. And you've got to make sure the front end is with you, because otherwise you get a load of wheel scrub like we saw in that turn 1 for Drew Lloyd, and the car obviously just goes sending off. But Ivo Lasbeck, he's had a bit of a moment coming through, so this is going to be potentially a role reversal here. I think that's a very, very late lunge if a move is going to be made there. Thinks twice of it, but Drew Lloyd again putting himself slightly out of position. Not entirely sure why he did that. He was a little bit too far back. Although, I'm intrigued to see, because I reckon Ivo's actually got some wheel damage. I saw this just going through here, and I wonder if there is a little bit of steering damage from... Oh dear, we've just had a replay. I'm just going to interrupt myself and go on to Bart Olsen, who has another moment going through into turn 6. As I said that, we've just lost him again. So we're going to quickly move back over to... Oh dear. And that was the end of that. So we're going to quickly move on. Not entirely sure. We're going to hopefully try and get some more potential information on that soon. But we're going to go on to... This is... going back to Drew Lloyd. But yes, I reckon that Ivo, I reckon he's got some steering damage. I'm sure I saw this when we were last on board with him. Just bear with me 2 seconds. We're just going to go onto his roll board. Look at the car in a straight line. I think he's got a small amount of left hand down. I know obviously that is going left.
He's turning for the left-hander. Let's have a look. There is a small bit. You are right there. Yeah, he's turning the wheel a little bit left. Then he sort of straightens it up when he's got the wheel straight and it's going to the right. I think you're bang on the money there, Dan, and we're seeing it. Is Ivo going to be able to manage that damage through the rest of the race? It's something that it's going to be really difficult, especially on a track that's, well, it's mostly corners, isn't it? Corner after corner after corner. You need to be completely with a stable platform, a car that does exactly what you want to do. And if you've got a little bit of steering angle damage, it's going to be doing the exact opposite. Meanwhile, look at this. Burkhardt Maring just ahead. Timo Hayden. Oh, I thought he was going to have a look down the inside, but that's out of the maneuver for the moment. Burkhardt Maring, the German driver for SimCity Esports, with the German Timo Hayden Impulse Racing just behind him as well. Fights raging on. Meanwhile, I think has Alexander Walton been able to bring that gap back out to Maxime Brient? It says on the interval that it's 1.5 seconds, but I think if we come to it, it might be a little bit closer than that. In fact, no, actually, Alexander Walton has been able to grow that gap between himself and Maxime Brient at the front of the field. So it's ebbing and flowing as the race is moving on. Maybe as well, Maxime Brient has just used a little bit too much of his tyres in the early stage of the race to build the gap, and then coming out of the pits, he's lost out a little bit and now is struggling to fight back up through the field and catch up to first position, maybe.
Potentially. I mean, either that or he could be actually playing the long game here. I wonder if that could be another possibility, because keep an eye on the lap times. I mean, to be fair, he did take another 4/10 out of Walton that particular lap, so maybe it's just a small excursion. Nothing's come up on the records though that we can see. So yeah, it could have been something that iRace potentially didn't recognise. Maybe just a small excursion or something similar than that. Maybe he's actually trying to experiment with fuel saving. I don't know. It could be a number of other things.
Could be traffic as well.
Yeah, it could be traffic as well. That's a very, very good point as well, Ed. Yeah, there's lots of different variables that come through, especially with multicast racing. With so many cars, like I said, it's a 1 minute 8 lap and you've got 40 cars out on track, or, bear in mind, around about 40 cars out on track. So there's a lot of cars to be catching up in certain positions. So, but that gap does seem to be coming down again ever more. So we are going to have to keep an eye out on that as we move forward.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I wonder if Maxime.
Oh, sorry, I was about to mention the fight in the AMs as well. Is that starting to hot? Because I saw the last lap, Justin Young was quite a bit quicker actually than James Ebram. As James Ebram comes across the line now, does a 1 minute 10.5. Justin Young just behind him, doing a 10-minute 0.2. So the gap is closing down in the AM field, but as we say, with the traffic and with everything going on, it does flow one way and then back the other way. So it's all about getting the consistency, I think, from these drivers, just to keep the fight going, keep it brewing on the background. Justin Young, we saw him a little bit further back, but he was using the traffic, using the pro drivers to a great effect, wasn't he? Slotting in behind them, saving a bit of fuel, gaining a bit of pace as well, just in the slipstream, and it's really been paying dividends for the Bullet Out Racing driver. And I think that's the thing, that's what we see. The likes of Ibram Young, they really set the tire boards alight in qualifying, but then over the race distance, it's about getting the consistency nailed down, I think, and we might be seeing whoever the driver is most consistent coming out on top. And at the moment, at least by how the race is going, by how much Justin's been able to close down in the first, say, 50 minutes of this race, you'd expect it to be the Bull Out Racing driver.
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you? I mean, again, to be fair, look
especially
at that.
Especially with a time like that.
Yeah, 4:10. Look at that 109.87 for Justin Young, and then James Ebram with the 110.2. So, yeah, at the moment, it seems that Justin Young, he's got some pace in the car at the moment. Yeah, he could be using more of his tyres, but at the moment, yeah, he's a man on a mission, and he wants that all-important victory. Look at the gap at the top, though. We've actually got a couple of gaps. We've got Burkhard Marion that's still about 4 tenths away. That gap has been there for ages. I'm sure he's going to be wanting to see a different car, see the rear of a different car at some point, but the gap is actually closing down. I'm just going to go back on it now. So this is Burkhard Marion, or Maring, apologies, and that is in front of him, actually behind him, sorry, Timo Hayden. So again, so that's me just getting confused with the timings a little bit. So that is Burkhard Marion. He's being hunted down by Timo Hayden at this moment in time. So that's going to be a battle that we're going to have to watch out for. But look at the leaders again. We're just going to jump on board with them. Alexander Walton, Maxime Brient. The gap has come down to half a second. Half a second is the gap now. That was, I believe, one of the Positively Racing cars getting out of the way. I have found out some information for you as well, Ed. I have found out some information. So, unfortunately, due to an incident earlier in the start of the race, Jacob did seem to lose quite a bit of pace. He's actually had a fair few optional repairs. About, I believe, I'm just going to double it, a fair few minutes of optional repairs, which is weird because the car didn't really look that damaged. So it could have been underfloor or something similar. So unfortunately, that was why he did lose some pace and jumped into the pits when we saw him. So there we go. Some insider information for you there, Ed.
Oh, we love it. You love to hear it, don't you? The insider information coming to the front here. That's why we have you here, Dan. Not your amazing commentary skills. No, it's for your insider information. No, it's very on you.
Well, it's definitely not for the iRacing as well. It's definitely not for my iRacing at the moment, is it?
We wouldn't change it for the world, mate. Not for the world. It's good to have you on board, and love to see you plenty more times here for the LMP2 Apex Technologies Championship. Meanwhile, though, yes, as you've been mentioning, as we've been seeing on the circuit, Alexander Walton is coming under increasingly more pressure from Maxime Brient, a Mazzano sim racing driver who won last time out at Silverstone and won the time before at Daytona. He's really in hot pursuit of a third race victory, which will be a great story if it comes to the fold, if it comes to comes to pass. But well, Alexander Walton in the SimSer Esports car, he's certainly doing all he can to prevent that from happening. He's doing a great job so far in the start of the race. Got the strategy absolutely nailed down and really using it to his advantage. Would expect him to be coming into the pits in the next about maybe 4 or so minutes, maybe at the 55-minute mark is when we could see a few more drivers making their pit stops, as Alexander Walton gives a flash of the headlights to a back marker, make sure he gets out of the way. Yep, nicely done, very clean indeed from all back markers this evening. Really, we haven't seen too many incidents where you can say back markers were at fault for them, but of course the race has got an hour yet, so I don't want to jinx it too much. So I'll put in that and just see exactly how Maxime is able to close down. The dirty air really holds him up through that first sector, but then this is where he really comes alive. The slow speed corners of the chicane, well, about as slow as you can get in an LMP2 car as he speeds his way through. Look at that, using all of the all the mechanical grip he has available to him. He really comes alive through that section, and again, slipstreaming his way through the final sector easily, flat out in these LMP2 cars, closing back down, gaining a 10th on that previous lap. Yeah, we're closer. This is going to really hot up very soon, and so it is as well in the AM category, because look at that. Look at the margins on the left-hand side of your screen between James Ebram and Justin Young. It's both under 0.4 of a second for race victories, or race leads, sorry, in Pro and Am.
Absolutely, yeah. It's more commentators' curse there, because you said that, James, and the gap's actually gone up to 0.6 of a second. So the gap has gone up. Just a little bit, a bit of a moment there for James Ebram. He's trying to use as much of his tyres as he possibly can, but he can't use too much, because otherwise he's going to actually use them up to the point where they're not going to be worth much towards the end of the race. I wonder, depending on stints as well, because the tyres do take up some time as well. So if these guys can manage 2 hours going through on one set of tyres, that's going to be absolutely fair play to these guys. I'm not entirely sure what tyre strategy these guys do, but that is a big train behind him at the moment. So looking through... Oh, God, this is close.
It's actually Alexander Walton and Maxime Brient making their way through now.
Oh, Maxime Brient's gone into pits. He's gone into the pits. So you were right.
Maxime Brient comes in now. Yes, this is the fight between both of the AM drivers for the race victory, and also the pros. This is amazing stuff to see. But yeah, as we mentioned, Maxime Brient coming into the pits again much earlier than his competitors. That does mean his final pit stop, if he keeps this up, he'll have to take more fuel on board. It'll be a longer stop, That could really affect the end of the race for him, as we see again. Look at this. It could actually be the best chance for him, because look, he's been held up a little bit, as Alexander Walton, by James Ebram. So maybe it wasn't a strategy for the fuel coming up, but actually Maxime Brient saw what was happening on circuit, saw that potentially he was going to be held up behind the slower AM drivers, and decided, you know what, I'm going to come into the pits, do an undercut. Will it pay off though? Come the end, it's all down the inside. This is it. Justin Young gets ahead into the lead of the AM category, took advantage there. It came out of almost nowhere, didn't he? Just really used the slipstream off of Alexander Walton to great effect, and is now up in the lead of the AM category. But for how long, when the pit stops come through? We saw he closed up the gap last time through the pit lane. Will he be able to do it once more and build the gap, or will James Ebram have the bit between his teeth and close that gap right back down once more? They're so evenly matched, aren't they? They're really close on pace. It's just every little so often there's a little bit of a moment where one of them gets caught out by something, or just gets unlucky with traffic, and then it closes right back down again.
Indeed. Actually, just a couple of points just to touch on. I think Brent, as long as he's come out in clean air, which I believe he has, he'll be leading. He'll be leading when he comes to pit stops. If he doesn't get held up, I put money on that. So it was very, very tactfully, strategy playing, and made the call. At the rate that I think he's going, I think that's going to be the right call to make. So, yeah, Walton just got held up just that little bit too much. You look at the gap, though, to Ramez Azam. The gap has now come down massively there. It's about sort of hovering 3 seconds. It was obviously a lot more before then. So, again, definitely something that we, as we see the AM cars pitting in, Justin Young, obviously the leader, for a brief moment of time. Leaders. And James Ebram, he's now obviously he's inherited the lead again. So, again, when it comes to this sort of stage as well, when you come to the second round of pit stops, when you've got a fair amount of traffic actually that's built up, you're not entirely sure where you're going to come out in traffic. Maybe an earlier pit stop sometimes isn't actually a bad thing. But I don't know, because then you flip it on its head. You've obviously then got to make sure you save more fuel for the remainder of the race. So that's the other thing as well, that there's so many different ways you can approach it. There's always so many different ways you can just approach these sorts of places.
Porsche Sport in the chat. Welcome, hello there, Porsche Sport. It's asking how many Porsches are there. I'm not sure if there are any currently on track. There was one at the start of the race, but you just missed it. It might have had its quality set on. It was leading the field and then immediately pulled into the bits. I think it realised its mistake and has, in shame, not got back out on track since. But good to have you here, Porsche Sport, in the chat. I hope you're enjoying these LMP2 cars. I know they're not Porsches, but still, they're just as exciting to watch, I am sure. And Maxime Brient, he has come on out into the lead of the race now, ahead of Alexander Walton, who I think, because Alexander Walton, it says the gap is 40 seconds, but then it comes right back down. Maxime, he played that to perfection, didn't he? He saw that there was going to be potentially a little bit of traffic playing into his hands. He took that advantage when he needed to and managed to make the position. He wasn't able to do it out on the circuit just because of how good Alexander Walton was through the S's, using the dirty air as well to his advantage. So Maxime Brient couldn't close up enough down the straightaway. And that has, of course, meant that Maxime Brient decided, you know what, I'm going to come in the pits, try something a bit different. Came in a lap earlier. Took it to his advantage, though, didn't he? And really capitalized on that. So great job from the Movano sim racing driver there. He had the strategy absolutely nailed down. But now Alexander Walton, will he be able to get that pace back that we saw him have at the earlier hour of the race? He's got 1 hour remaining. I'll find out, though, because the race is not showing any signs of slowing down. Having a look further through the field as well, I think we're seeing Hugo Preto under pressure potentially from Eloy Caballero there in the Iridium Motorsports car. And that is a fight for 13th position in the pro category. Here we see, yep, closing down, then extending again as they go through the S's, but then it'll close right back down once more as they make their way along this back, not quite straight into the chicane.
Indeed, yeah, this battle is going to be, I'm sure we're going to see this coming down as the race progresses. It's be interesting to see. This is the battle box there. You can see on the right-hand side, bottom right corner of the screen. So the gap is 5/10 of a second. It's 4/10 of a second now. So this is where the we've got here. This is where it really starts coming into its own. When you get that draft, it really pulls you along. But it does mean, though, that look at Eloy Caballero. He unfortunately had a bit of understeer build-up, lost him a bit of time. So the time he actually gained sitting in the toe of Breda, actually down the straight, he's then lost going through the chicane because he had a bit more overspeed carrying through. So this is one of the things you've got to be got to be always careful to watch out for. Le Mans is another big one. Even Road America to extended cars. Oh, that's a bit of traffic there. That was a car that was rejoining. That's actually to put Preto that's out a little bit. So we've got Caballero that's going to make try and pounce.
I don't think it's a back mark. I think it's Drew Lloyd coming out of the pits.
That was to be fair, well avoided there by Preto. He couldn't really do much. Oh, that was how did Caballero keep out of the wall. Then he's still on the grass. Wow, that was definitely not the way you want to drive that car. But he's actually had to let that was Kraft through. So yeah, he had to let that car through. He had to let car from the Ancraft career. So he's now a lap down on Kraft there. But I mean, yeah, that was a bit of. It almost looked like Caballero was just going to fall into his lap, wasn't it? And then it all sort of didn't. Yeah, this is the joys of endurance racing.
Exactly, on the 40-car grid, this action isn't there. It's as we see Drew Lloyd in the Rennie Racing car being passed by Hugo Preto into the chicane. Drew Lloyd just coming out of the pit lane now and losing time. He's as well Daniel Kraft to go through, but is that gonna give potentially Eloy Caballero a chance to slot on the inside into someone? He's gonna go for the move. He's gonna pull the move off as well. Be it there from Eloy Caballero as we see. What on earth was that? Was that a massive smash noise I just heard? I'm not sure if you heard that as well, but that's slightly worrying. I thought we had an engine blowout, but no, they kept on moving just for now at least. And well, Eloy Caballero, he's gonna try and catch back up now to Hugo Preto. That was the fight we were seeing earlier, but it's just start to move away with all of the faster cars making their way through all of the different battles out on track, moving each way and each way. And here we see Kamal Hashimi having a moment. That is through turns 6 and then running wide at turn 7, keeping it out of the wall. They're using the throttle very well to have the car pitching the way he wants to, keeping it out of trouble. This is Andy Spicer then, a little while later, going through the chicane, running wide off the circuit. Does he collect it? Does he spin around? He does collect it, and he doesn't spin around. Brilliant there from Andy Spicer to hold on. And then coming back with live pictures here, Kamal Hashimi just running in 25th position at the moment, doing a good job for himself in the top 10 in the AM category. Is he close to Andy Spicer? Nope. Has he got Chris Pio close to him? Nope. He's in his own little bubble once more.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, just look through it. So again, this Hugo Preto battle, the Hugo Preto battle. That's again, it's sort of like it's again brought down. It's back down to a simmer now. Again, I like that expression you used earlier. It's down to a simmer. It's not really sort of boiling at this point, but I'm sure we've got plenty more time. We've actually jigged over the halfway mark. So, to be fair, it's been a very we've had some amazing battles, and yet more yet to come. I am absolutely sure. But again, looking through that craft again, making his way through over a few more cars up ahead. That's one more craft ahead. That is, I believe, is that... I'm trying to think who that is out on track, but we're going to have another potential move going to go through. Is it going to be Ole Cabanero? He's going to have another move at the inside. He tries to make it. Is he going to do it? He does indeed. Hugo Preto, he's now been demoted back down into P12. I mean, to be fair, he tried to fight... I suppose that was sort of tried to fight as much as he could, but I think Cabanero, he was just putting his car in a position where he's going, no, I'm making the move, and off he went. So, yeah, a good move there from me. Oh, that was a spin. Ooh. I don't know who that is. Is that? I'm trying to think who that was. Is that EJ Fuel there? We're going to see a replay. It is indeed EJ. So that's gone through. Just again carries a lot of speed. Well, I'm not entirely sure. Look at the sparks being flown out. I actually want to see an on board of this. I don't know about you, Ed, but I'm intrigued to see what happened.
Might get a bit dizzy.
Potentially, that's very good. Again, just the understeer builds up. It's the understeer builds up, but you just can't get rid of it. So,
well held.
It was well held. To be fair, again, he kept the car going in a straight. He kept the car going. A bit of a pirouette, a bit of grass cutting, and off he goes. But yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Rejoining
safely as well. He's keeping out of the way, not immediately panicking, getting on the circuit. Very smart stuff from EJ Fjellner there. Currently 14th position in AM, and if he keeps up consistent results there, if other drivers are in front of him, they might have blistering races, but then have incidents and accidents and fall down the order. Those will be good points scored in the championship for him. Meanwhile, though, this is a fight we're seeing Drew Lloyd here being passed around the outside. I think that was Melendez going on by. Yeah, that was. So Drew Lloyd is not quite on the pace. He came out of the pits, was up very high, and then it's just seemingly losing out at the moment. I'm not sure what's going on, if there's an issue plaguing him, or if he's just not getting the luck of the traffic, getting caught out by little sort of mistakes here and there, and really paying the price for them. Meanwhile, though, I'm having a look at the fight in the AM category, and Justin Young, he's really built that gap out, hasn't he? He's 30 seconds clear of James Ebram, and I wonder, has James taken tyres in the pit stop at the halfway mark, whereas maybe Justin Young's trying to make it last right the way until the end of the race?
I mean, potentially. This could be a potential thing. I'm actually just looking at the lap times. The last lap time for Justin Young was a 1:11.01. The last lap time for James Ebram was a 1:10.8. So, again, traffic obviously could be a factor. Potentially. This could be. We've actually just got, I'm actually just having a look through, we've got something I didn't necessarily see before, James Ebram. We've actually got a replay of him going off track, a small excursion for what was the previous AM leader. Oh dear, yep, that would be, I mean, he kept out the, has he kept out of the wall? I think he did. I genuinely think he kept, fair play. That was well held indeed. I just want to see another replay of that going from on the roll buttons. Again, it could be a bit of understeer, but yeah, it just carries a bit too much speed, a bit later on the turn in though as well. But he releases the steering as much as he can, tries to almost probably, he's releasing... I mean, I think there was a touch, but I mean of the smallest quantity. There would have been no damage there. It might not even shown up on iRacing as actually registering for down. That's probably why we actually didn't hear anything about it initially. So that may have not even been a 0x that iRacing would have classed that. So... I think, to be fair, I think James even may need to do the lottery this evening when he finishes, because his luck is definitely there.
Absolutely, and I'm having a look at the times through the pits just to see if there was a change of tyres potentially, and I think the answer is an emphatic yes. Justin Young going through the pits last time, he spent, I think, 26 seconds stationary, whereas James Ebram, he spent 46 seconds stationary. So I think that tells us all we need to know, doesn't it? That we've seen a change of tyres for James Ebram, but Justin Young, he's confident that his tyres will last potentially either an extra stint or maybe two more up until the end of the race. But will he be able to manage it? He's got the margin. He's also had James Ebram make that little mistake earlier on. That could be playing into his hands. Absolutely. Meanwhile, though, following this fight, seen Cabrito and Eli Caballero here. Look at that, down the straights. We're going to see the gap close down. I don't think we'll see a move, but we'll see the pressure mounting on Eli Caballero's shoulders here. Hard onto the brakes, gets the line absolutely inch perfect. Really gains through the chicane there. Again, closing down another flat out section where you can gain time in the slipstream, even though there is a corner here, but still no chance of a move into turn one instead. Just really putting a lot of pressure on this roll bar camera. It is brilliant just to see the relative pace between the drivers as a new fastest lap coming in from Molnar Peter, a 1 minute 8.595. A brilliant lap time coming in there from the Impulse Racing driver, and that's a very quick time indeed. The Hungarian seems to be Hungary for 5th place.
Oh no. Oh dear. Well, there we go. That's oh dear. I think we need to swiftly move on from that. I mean, it was a fair play. You gave it a go. You gave it a go.
I tried.
Oh dear. Yes. Anyway, moving swiftly on, we do have a replay of Justin Young. Apologies, I didn't actually notice this sooner, but we can have a replay of him here. This is actually Justin Young crash. Oh, okay. Pirouettes from one of the. That's one of the positive racing. Look, I mean, that couldn't be more inch perfect in terms of positioning, could it? That. I mean, I want to have a replay. I'm actually going to see a replay of that from the outside cam, because how close was that? I'm not entirely sure. But two drivers may need new race suits after that race. Shall we say? That's probably the nicest way to put it. I mean, I daren't even look. I daren't even look at how close that was actually. But that's still close. Oh my goodness. That was, I'm trying to think what number that was. I can't actually think of. That was obviously one of the positive racing cars, the very brightly coloured livery. But I couldn't quite see which one that was. But that was why a lot of time loss was there. So that's why the gap has extended. So potentially tyres, I think, because those tyres are probably definitely worse for wear. So that could be why more tyres were taken. Oh no, that's been in the
potentially been Ivo Lopesha, as we see. Ivo Lopesha, as he had the same moment again. That could have been him once more if it wasn't.
Indeed.
Well, the positive racing cars aren't really too positive through that section. Look at that. Just bumps the car. He feels the rear go, tries to hold on to it. It feels it just snap on him, taps the brakes to hold it, but it just only makes things worse. Does very well though. Again, to keep it out of the wall is better to have the sort of the half spin, to have the slide and lose time than clatter into the wall and get a massive amount of damage going his way. But all of this, I think that's the reason why we saw that gap go from 30 seconds down to 20. It's the while earlier between James Ebram and Justin Young. Justin Young, after that little incident, his tyres might be feeling the strain a little bit more now. They've had a bit of a sideways scrubbing moment. We'll find out very shortly, though, if Justin Young will be able to make those tyres last, as I think within the next maybe 10 or so minutes time, do you reckon? We'll be seeing the cars coming in for yet another pit stop.
Yes, to be fair, we're not too far away here. We're not too far away. We've just had someone down. Andy Spicer again. We just had, unfortunately, another small excursion. Where's this going to go into turn 3? Oh, he was trying to, let someone go through. I'm trying to think who that was. Ooh, a little bit of curve on the way, bit of two-wheel action, and then he is on the way. Although Alexander Walton, this is not what we wanted to see. Oh, he's gone off someone. That's going through up into the hill, going through into turn 5. Oh dear. I wonder if he's had... I'm not entirely sure, if I'm honest, what has actually happened. And that's not the camera angle that we want to see. Normally the camera angle is supposed to be far away from the track. But we can see a very, very close...
turn 7? He just maybe locked up the brakes. Oh, no, it was turn 6, sorry, even.
Turn 6, I wonder what happened here. I think he tried to... I mean, to be fair, there was a car there. I don't think Alexander Watson was expecting to be.
Yeah, but, I mean, the car can't just disappear. Of course, it is a back marker, and when it's that moment, he's already passed one car. There's a car on his inside there. It was a 3-wide moment at one point. And the car on the inside is safer, I think, for the car on the inside just to hold it there and not do anything too unpredictable, like slamming on the anchors. And unfortunately for Alexander Walton, I feel aggrieved that that car probably shouldn't have been there. Look at that. It's got a lot of damage on that rear hand side, and that's him signaling potentially out of the race. And it's yet more drama for Sims Esports. Don't forget, last time out at Silverstone, Ramez Azam was looking very good for a second place, for a strong podium, but there was just a little bit of contact with a back marker. That was in the real closing stages within the final 5 minutes that sent him out of the race. At least it's a bit less painful with it being about an extra 50 minutes to go in the race, but it's still nothing you want to see whatsoever similar esports. They just can't seem to catch a break. Meanwhile, that has allowed Molnar Peter, in fact, a lot of the field promoted up a position. So Molnar Peter is up into 5th position, but now he could still see eventually a 4th just up the road, and with plenty of time remaining in this race, with about 47 minutes to go. Just there, we have Daniel Kraft, and he's only 6 seconds ahead. We might be seeing yet the Impulse Racing driver out on the podium. Meanwhile, back up Maring, we just saw on our shot there the 64 car, the teammate, of course, of Alexander Walton. And is Walton back out on circuit yet? No, he's not. He's in the bits and essentially out of the race if he's having to repair that massive damage.
Yeah, not ideal at all. Definitely not ideal. That's not what he wanted. But yeah, at the moment, so Daniel Kraft doing a very, very good job in pit for a moment. But Ayabola Laval, he is not too far behind. As I say that, we're actually going to move on board with these. You know, this is the battle for. This is the battle for, I believe, actually. No, apologies. Yes, so we've got Ayabola Laval and then Molnar Peter. This is the battle for P4 in class, as you can see. Molnar Peter just behind all. That was, I mean, that's an interesting way to let faster cars through. Not entirely sure it's probably the safest way, but that's something that Ayabola probably isn't going to be complaining about too much. I don't know, to be fair. We've seen Molnar Peter, he's been pretty tactful with his moves. I wonder if we're going to see a move going through into the chicanes, going through into turns 10A and 10B, as they're called, and then going through turns 11 and 12. I mean, he's close enough. He is close enough. I'm actually going to jump on board. I would like to see a roll by camera. It gives you a great sense of speed, and also as well, you can see what's happening. Look at the gap already. The draft is already taking it into effect. The move is potentially going to be even done before coming down into the chicane at turn 10. That is Laval. He's going to try and actually defend it as much as he can, but concedes the position. Probably quite wise, actually. He's going to try and concede it as early as he can, get back into the slipstream and try and have a roll reversal. But yeah, I mean, look at the gap already. It's about, I mean, that's actually going through, and the gap is probably about 0.3 of a second already. So it's actually under 0.6 of a second already. So yeah, Molnar Peter, he really made the move stick where it needed to be, and he's now capitalised on that, and he's now into P4 on the hunt down for Daniel Kraft in P3, not too many seconds up the road, actually 5.9, which, no, it's only 45 minutes left to go, but that can easily come down. I've seen more gaps come down in less time.
Yes, absolutely. And now we're going to see fights. This gap might start to increase, or with the slipstream, Ayabola Laval might think about closing it down. And Ayabola, we know he is a very quick driver, of course. He's got very good results, very good consistent results as well, if memory serves right, in this championship. He knows when to pick his battles, and is a very smart driver about things. As we see smart backmarker making sure he's not holding up Molnar Peter too much. There is a car though between Molnar and Ayabola Laval now, and that does allow actually a little bit of a space to create, but not too much, because again, the car, I think that's one of the Apex cars, getting out of the way nice and safely. And it's been a brilliant race so far, hasn't it, Dan? It's started to get into the moment where it's getting a little bit quiet. We're still seeing fights going on. We can see Hugo Preto, I think, closing in on Eloy Caballero here. Close gap underneath 1 second, as we're, well, I'm not sure if we're going to see this fight materials or not, or if they're just content to keep it as it is. Of course, Eloy Caballero in the nice blue and black Iridium Motorsports car. You can see it nice in the headlights there of Hugo Preto, Portuguese driver, the only Portuguese driver in this race at the moment. But another thing to mention is just how good the roster is. It's a very international championship, drivers from all across the world, and well, it's brilliant that each of them are enjoying the championship and making it entertaining for us in the broadcast, but just from how close and competitive it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We just had a couple of people go in the pits as well. So we've got Maxime Brient. He's now jumped into the pits, so he's dropped down, as well as Molnar Peter. So they're going to have to do at least, obviously, one more stop. Going to go through into, like I said, the closing stages of the race. So that is going to be, that was Hugo Preto. They're just getting past a back marker. But yeah, so Maxime Brient and Peter, they are the first two to jump the pits for the third stop. Everyone else currently on 2, or everyone else in the top. I'm just looking at that, is the top 19 cars currently out track in position who have made that the third stop. So we're going to see a couple more people obviously make those stops going forward. I wonder actually if do you know what? I don't know, Ed. I don't know if this is a position where it's actually better to make an earlier stop because your car is generally lighter. Oh, actually, no, I'm going to interrupt myself again. We've got Dion Neerveld. He's gone through. This is going to go up into turn 5. He's apparently said that was very, very wide going into turn 5, and he manages to keep it just about out of the barrier. So fair enough. That was recognised it relatively early on and tried to. Well, I suppose he kept it as best he could, but it's just this must feel like an absolute age to sit there. Fair play though. He was sitting there. He waited for all the cars to go forward, and then he carried on. So fair play to Dion Neerveld there. So he actually waited for those cars to go and rejoined as safe as he possibly could. But yeah, small excursion. But he is back on the road, actually going further down. The closest battle that we have out on track at this moment in time is I'm going to go through. This is Ivor Labshire and this is Drew Lloyd. So this is the battle out on track. This is the closest battle we currently have at the moment. The gap is 4/10 of a second. What's going to happen here? Ivor's going to try and go through up the inside. Oh my, what a move. That was lastminute.com. And he goes through. There was not really much that I think Drew Lloyd, to be fair, wasn't really defending it much. Obviously knows that at this moment Ivor's got the pace, but he's gone wide. Oh dear, no, that's gone from bad to worse. Commentator goes, I'm very sorry, Ivo. I do apologise about that. And he's got to try and do that all. He's flashed me. He's angry at me. That's what he is at. He's angry at me now. He can hear me talking.
He knows we're watching.
He knows I'm watching. He knows I'm commentating. Yeah, that was a big shame there. Just carried that little bit too much speed going through into turn 3. Obviously caused the unfortunate issue there. But he's got the pace. He knows he's got the pace. He's going to try and sort of like compose himself, go back again. The gap is, just looking through the gaps now, 1.8 seconds. So it's not too bad. It's definitely some gaps that can be made up again. He's just got to try and head down, nurse the damage as much, he has got some damage, and obviously crack on and try and make that move again for P12. So yeah, that was interesting. That was packed full of excitement in about 3 corners. That was very exciting.
Absolutely, yes. And as we are coming into the latter stage of the race, just going to say hello to everyone in chat. Jacob Money, who was actually in this race earlier, has just sent a message saying that sadly he's had to retire the car due to too much damage from the lap 1 incident. So while he was having good pace and doing very well, actually fighting at one stage with his teammate and brother, actually, Will Money, unfortunately, he's just not been able to really make amends for all the damage that he sustained early on, and as unfortunately, I'll tell you never like to see it, but it's just sometimes the way that these races just end up.
Absolutely, yeah. Not ideal at all. But I mean, to be fair, I said Dick about it. He is a sensible driver. Is always a next time. There's always next time. We've just ticked over halfway to the championship after this round. So I said, cheer up, Jacob. Always next time around. We still got a couple of positive racing cars, obviously, to represent yourself. So it's been fantastic to watch and great to commentate on your race this evening, and looking forward to doing the rest of the round. But this is the good thing as well. There's always another one to go. There's always another race. There's always another time to jump out on track and have a bit of fun. So yes, all important. But that's in the future. We are in the here and now, and we have got a couple more people that have gone into the pit. The closest, I'm just having a look on Batten now. So we've got James Ebram. That is actually having a bit of I wouldn't say a bit of a scrap, but he is relatively close to that. Behind him is, I believe, Jose Buisen. So they are pretty close together. So again, out of class, this is, bear in mind. These guys are not in class. We've just seen Ivor Labshire. He's now in the pits. I wonder if the damage has got maybe a little bit too much, potentially. Bit unfortunate through there. Actually, to have a look through, as I said, we've gone. This is Will Muddy, so Jacob Muddy's brother with Roy Mass. This is a battle for P3 in class. This is interesting stuff. This is very interesting stuff indeed. So this is the battle going to go for, at the moment, P3. What is Will going to do? He's going to probably have to sit behind all the way going up the hill. It's going to feel like an absolute age. Try not to get caught up in the dirty air too much, but he's very, very close indeed. Is he going to make a move going through to turn 6? I don't know. He's going to have a look. We haven't seen Mass that's going to be defending. He's going to probably let the move go, and he's going to try and get the role reversal going through into the chicane of turns 10A and 10B, as they're very, very aptly named. But I don't know if he's quick enough. I don't know if he's actually close enough to the back of Money at this moment in time. The gap is about 0.3 of a second, so it's going to come down, but is it going to come down enough? I don't really know. We're going to find out in a moment's time. He's going to have a bit of a look. Will Money, he's made a bit of a defense. He almost tried to make a defensive move, but very tactfully. Didn't actually defend what he didn't think he needed to. A bit of a 50-50 there because Roymas could have pulled out at the very, very last minute. And I think for good measure, Will Money's now decided that he wants to go in the pits. So maybe he just wanted to get that position done, and now he's going to go in the pits. So, yeah, the Roymas now inherits P3 again. So, yeah, that was a bit of an abrupt end to that battle there, because that would have definitely been going on for a lot longer, I am absolutely sure, and we're probably going to see that again after the next round of pit stops. That will resume. So very keen to see how that progresses. We just had Jacob Money's brother saying, hoping Will can get that car on the podium. I mean, to the pace he's got, that definitely is a possibility. So we're going to see how that goes with the next 37 minutes remaining.
Absolutely, yes. We're going to follow as well Burkhard Maring in the Simsa esports car, as Maxime Brient, I think, has been in and out of the pits already, I think. In fact, yeah, I think he has already just pitted in and out. So, Maxime Brient, he's got a little bit maybe of a slower lap here. He's going to be up behind Burkhard Maring, who's we expect to see in the pits very soon. And we see Maring's boss in the chat. These are LMP2 cars. You can see in the top left-hand corner, it's the LMP2 Championship by Apex Technologies. It's a great little championship, and if you want to, it's a standalone LMP2 category. So you have pros and AMs, but it's only Le Mans or the Le Mans Prototype 2s in this series, as we see Burkhard Maring come into the bits. And if you want to see a little bit more, we do of course have plenty of the other 2 rounds of the championship here on Sim Racers World TV for you to watch back at your viewing pleasure, and they are excellent rounds indeed. They are certainly ones that, if you've missed them, go back and have a watch, because it just shows how good this championship is. And that these races that we've been seeing this evening, it's not an isolated incident. They've been racing like this all season long, as we see Andy Spicer loop the car around. It's a very typical slow, sad LMP2 spin, just taking too much speed into a corner, move the car, pendulums all the way around, and when it goes, it's very difficult to stop it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's one of the things you've got to be so careful when it comes to. You've got to be so careful when it comes to actually making sure that you don't lose the car at the rear, because that is like the slow speed corners. You've got no aero going over the car. So at this moment in time, I said, when you're going sort of like into the low speed of turn 6 and turn 7, the car's not doing anything because it's just got no aero to push the car down. You've only got the tyres, you've only got the actual grip from the tyres and the physical adhesion. So, yeah, always lower speed corners, always a bit more of a concern, as we've got, that is, I believe, in the pits, Ayabala Laval and Ramez Azam. So they're both in the pits. They're going to be doing a bit of swap around. You can see on the timing screens there. So as you can see, Azam is on pit exit, as well as Laval. He's going to be on pit exit in a few moments' time. We've got Preto, Young. They're both in the pits as well. So these are the last round of pit stops. I don't think, well, by the looks of it, there may be a couple of people that we're going to have to see going through. I wonder, I'm intrigued to see this. I wonder if there's going to be, we need to look at the 1 minute, the 1 hour and 30 mark when that ticks over. And then we need to have a look, Ed, to see if who hasn't pitted for their third stop. Because if there is someone that hasn't pitted, they're going to make some positions up. They are definitely going to make some positions up, because they're not going to have to do an extra stop. So
Yes, absolutely. But I'm not entirely sure if we'll be able to see that. I don't think there's been many drivers that have made it to that point in the race. So I think we might be seeing an extra splash and dash coming through. But if drivers are able to avoid that, that is going to be absolutely massive, isn't it, for the race? Because spending a bit of time stationary and then going through the pit lane, that on the track like this is, say, what, about 25 seconds all in all time lost. So that does put in a few drivers in contention for the race victory, but we'll find out if that is the case or not later on, as we continue to watch Daniel Kraft trying to catch back up to Molnar Peter, but just not quite got the pace in hand for now.
No, he hasn't at this moment in time, but it could all change. This is one of the good things about well, I say to be fair, endurance racing. It's that halfway house, isn't it? It's halfway between enduros and sprints. You know, and it's that 2 hours, I think, it's definitely more of a sprint in the more conventional sense, but at the same time, there's still some tactics involved. So you've always got to be, you know, the best of both worlds, I think, which is why I love these sort of style of races. We've got James Ebram that's still very, very close again. The battle, though, actually in class battle, still closest one is between, that is, I believe, Hugo. That's been Hugo Preto and Alvaro Melendez. So this is currently a battle still out on track. Both of these drivers have made their third pit stops. So this is actually out on track. There's no battling fit. So the people that haven't pitted, so we've got Jose Vicente, he's not pitted. Drew Lloyd, he's not pitted. And James Ebram hasn't pitted for his third stop yet. So they are, by the looks of it, the only 3 drivers that haven't actually made. There's a couple of others, actually, a couple in the AM categories as well. So we've got Lee Tucker. He hasn't pitted yet. Neither has Drew Williams, Bart Hornston. So obviously he's definitely had his race has gone from bad to worse with the incident he had earlier on. So yeah, there's been a couple of people that haven't made this all-important third stop, and they've only got one more lap, and then they're going to tick over to the half-hour barrier. So there may be one or two. There may be one or two. Whether it's going to upset the balance of it's going to upset the standing order too much come the end of the race, that's a different matter. But there are going to be, I think, some people that are going to make it just to under the half hour remaining before they pit.
Yes, absolutely. Following this fight, though, between Hugo Preto and Alvaro Melendez here, as we do get into the moment where we are at the 1.5 hour mark, I think it's a good time to thank some of the people that have made all of this possible. Of course, the league title sponsors, Apex Technologies. They've been, from the very start, they've put a lot of work in to allow this league to happen. And basically anything you'd expect from Apex Technologies, anything sort of commercial luxury technologies, things like sort of, well, home cinemas, music systems, lightings, screens, acoustics, and even racing simulators that you can use here on iRacing. They'll offer it. They work with so many firms. They offer things both in the UK and in the US. You just need to go to www.apex-tech.us and find out a little bit more about them. And of course, to partner Apex Technologies for this round, we have the SurgeX boys sponsoring this, the SurgeX Road Atlanta Petit P2 Clash. And well, after getting all of your fancy technologies from Apex Technologies, why not use the SurgeX protection that they provide? They allow proper surge protection technology, EMI and RFI noise filtration, and unsurpassed power management. So if you've got any businesses or sensitive sort of AV systems, it allows to make sure that's all nice and safe and sound. So thank you to Apex Technologies and SurgeX for partnering us here and allowing us to bring you all of this exciting racing here on Sim Racers World TV.
Absolutely. Very good indeed. It's always nice when we get some sponsors on board, and we do thank them absolutely very much for being able to help us put these amazing championships on. It's absolutely fantastic. So thank you very much both to Apex Technologies and SurgeX for their sponsor for this particular event and series. Moving back to the action, though, we do have it's all sort of a bit. It's in that sort of like limbo, I think, now where this is the closing stages. Like I said, we've got 29 minutes left, or near as makes no difference, 29 minutes left, and it's all sort of a little bit. Oh, I'm just trying to think. It's in that limbo mode. It's all going to sort of kick off. We normally saw this, I think, when we actually did my first endurance with Sim Racers World. We when I first did my first broadcast for them, it was getting on for a month ago. Was it now, Ed? It probably wasn't too far.
I think it was.
I can't believe that time is absolutely flown, isn't it? At the end of February. It all sort of like, it sat there for about half hour, and then all of a sudden, the last 10 minutes, it just exploded. I'm sure we're going to see exactly the same thing. And we've got 40 cars that we can play with as well. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. So yeah, coming into those closing stages, we've just seen that is Drew Lloyd that's gone into the pits for his third stint. So he's made it. If you have a look, so Drew Lloyd has indeed made it to just over the 30. So he's got 28 minutes left. It's just ticked over, in fact. That's going to be close. I mean, that's going to be very, very close. He is the only person in the current top 20 that has done that has made that all-important, got over to the 30-minute mark. I mean, that's 20 seconds. If he can manage it, that's 20 seconds saved. That's easily 20 seconds saved in terms of pit entry to pit exit. That's going to be interesting. Drew Lloyd is one to watch.
That's going to probably put him comfortably maybe within the top 10 for this race. We'll keep our eyes open for that, of course. But what a performance he's been able to put in to save the fuel, to make it last that long and keep it going. As we see, is that Justin Young coming into the pits as well? I think it is. He's just coming out of the pit lane now. AM class leader coming out of pit lane. He's been able to make it last a little while longer as well, as has, I believe, James Ebram. We're still waiting on him to come into the pits once more. So this fight is looking very intense indeed. Yeah, Justin Young made 4 stops. James Ebram, 3 stops actually. So James Ebram, we expect him to make yet another stop in this race. Actually, yeah, 4 stops. That is a bit of a weird one, actually. Does that potentially mean that Justin Young has taken the splash and dash early, fueled up now? He's confident it will last him till the end. And, well, we expect James Ebram to come into the pits once more. With 8 seconds, the margin between first and second in the AM category, I expect to see Justin Young coming out on top in this fight. That is, if he's able to make the fuel last.
Yeah, this is the thing. Can he make the fuel last? I mean, to be fair, 32 minutes, 1 hour and 32 minutes. I think he can. We've seen that before. I reckon he can. If he saves the fuel, definitely he should be able to save that. So, interesting. Yeah, he has taken the splash and dash before, and as have a couple of other drivers by the looks. Aisha Blight, he's on 4 stops, as well as Kamal Hashimi. He has taken 4 stops also. So a couple of people on different strategies again. So, yeah, I wonder how this is going to play out, because the gap, I mean, yes, the gap has opened up between Justin Young and James Ebram. But again, that's not to say that it won't. You've got 25 minutes left. A lot can happen in 25 minutes. Let me tell you that. And Ed, I'm sure, will agree with me. But so looking at the gaps ahead, so Maxime Brient is comfortably at the moment currently leading still with a gap of 18 seconds or 17.8 seconds, as we can currently see it on the timing tower on the left hand side of your screen. And to be fair, obviously didn't quite work out for Ramez Azam. I'm not actually going to say it because, again, God forbid commentators curse. But looking at the position, that's all I'm going to say. Let's hoping it's better this time around. Looking further down the field, like I said again, we're still in this sort of like limbo mode at the moment. I tell you what, Ed, we actually did it in the previous broadcast. We like looking at the liveries. It's just a little bit more difficult when it's pitch black.
It's quite hard to see, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something that we I normally like running through, especially just going through some of the different liveries that we've seen. And to be fair, we obviously we did get a glimpse of them. We got a glimpse of them going through at the start of the race in qualifying. Is there one that particularly stands out to you, Ed, in terms of livery?
Well, I do like the Simsa cars. They're sort of quite easy to spot, aren't they? And you see them nice and clear with the nice orange tones on them. Meanwhile, though, we have a fight going on our hands here. This is Andy Spicer here, closing down on Chris Pio, the Apex Tech car. You can see it there. They're nice orange and blue cover, in keeping, of course, with all of the stuff you can see on the left-hand side of the screen as well. The branding, very nice indeed. It's probably one of the nicest looking overlays we've been able to get here on Sim Races World TV, courtesy, of course, by the one and only Techmeister Chaz Draco. As down the inside, is Spicer going to pull that move off? Yes, he does. Collects the car nicely. Gets up through into 8th position in class. A great job there from Andy Spicer to pull that off, because it's a corner that you don't often see moves being made into, at least moves being made into without contact.
It's to be fair, no, it's a fair move. It's definitely a move that's got to be a little bit cautious, especially when you're going to go through a move going down to the first sector, but pulls it off, and off he goes. So he's been released and is now up into P8 in class, 23rd overall. Looking further up the grid here, just having a look. I'm looking to see at this moment in time where potential battles are really going to sort of play themselves out. I mean, Justin Young, the gap at the moment, that's obviously going to come down because he's already done his 4th stop. So I'm just looking at the gap now. That is him, as you can see on your screen there. And the gap is, I mean, have a look. What is that gap? It's 18 seconds. So you've got Evo that's +9, obviously from the car in front, and then Justin Young is the gap further down from that. So that's on the +9. So, I mean, that's a pit stop from James Ebram. So James Ebram is not out of the woods yet, because he is yet to make his fourth and what is going to be his final stop, and it's going to be a last splash and dash. I mean, potentially 5 minutes remaining of the race, maybe a little bit more, maybe about 8 minutes remaining of the race. So he's not going to have a lot of fuel in, so this car's going to be pretty raring to go. I think as well, Justin Young, this is the other thing as well, Ed, is Justin Young maybe working his tyres a little bit harder at this stage of the race because he's got more fuel on board now. So that could be something he's got to watch out for. Tyre management's very, very key. I spoke about that earlier in the race. So that's going to be something that's ever more key. So this could go one of two ways, but I'm very excited to see how this develops moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think, though, with the overlays, James Ebram and Justin Young, the gap is relative to class position, not overall position. So the gap between Drew Lloyd and Ivo Loebscher is 8 seconds, but Ebram is kind of nestled in that little gap, and then there's another 7 seconds back from Ebram to Justin Young. So I think we have the gaps done in class position, if I remember rightly, and not in terms of overall.
I believe. Apologies. There we go. Okay, well, I mean, at the moment, then that's obviously an even better position then for
better position for Justin. Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm just going to completely retract all of what I said for the last minute or so, and yeah. So let's just rewind that and go. Justin Young. Well, I mean, he's done his full stop. He needs to be just doing what he needs to do for the remainder of the race, which is just about to tick, as you can see in the top left-hand corner, the top left of your screen, to 20 minutes remaining. Just having a look through. Oh, this is a battle here that's just kicked up. This is Molnar Peter, and this is Timo Hayden. They're going to have a bit of a... actually, no, apologies, that's not Timo Hayden. That is Luca Fioravanti. That is currently 2 tenths behind going through into turn 5. A little bit of dirty air that Fioravanti's got to have to watch out for, because that's not going to hurt. That's going to hurt his tyres, and it's going to hurt his jet, especially going through turn 5. You've got to be so careful. If you get a bit too early on the pad with that dirty air, that's so very close. If he can get a good run, bit of sideways moment, he's lost a bit of time there. That's not good. You can see the gap is extending, but as soon as he gets to the bridge, it's probably going to start closing up again. Actually going to go on the battle box just so you can see the time on the right hand corner of your screen. Look at that, it's gone down to 2 tenths, it's gone down to 10th and a half. Oh, it's going to be, there we go. So we've got, that is Molnar Peter. He's dived one way, but he's only made his one move. He can't make another one, so he's going to have to leave the position open, and he can't defend. Tries to get the cutback. He's got a very, very good run, but I don't think he's going to do it. As I say that, he's going to prove me wrong. Going to go through the inside of turn 12. Is he going to make it? No, he doesn't. Thinks twice of it. Wow, and I need to breathe. That was so close, but it's not over yet, because Luke is going to go defensive going into turn 1. He's going to try and push Peter on the outside. He's going to try and get another cutback going to go through, but doesn't quite make it. And now, as I finally can take a breath, Peters now has to settle for P8 now in class, and Fioravanti, he has now taken P7 and has extended a little bit of a gap. That was intense, Ed. I tell you what, Peter gave it a go, didn't he? Around the last corner of turn 12. Fair play.
Yeah, exactly. That was very close indeed. He tried as he might, but he just wasn't able to hold off, but he still kept relatively close for this lap. Does he get a good exit out of this corner? Yes, he does. He gets a brilliant run, and he's going to up into the slipstream. We're going to maybe go aboard with Molnar Peter this time on the roll bar and see how much he's able to close down and see what Luca Fioravanti can do to defend the DRS Wave Italy car. He just tries to have a squeeze on the inside, but it's a little bit too late to defend as Molnar Peter slides his car down the inside, slots through, but again, it's a good exit out of the corner for Luca Fioravanti. He's got to try the outside line for the final corner, then tries the inside line. No thing going on there, and again, Molnar Peter, this time he's going to show Luca Fioravanti the outside line. Oh, a little bit of a bump up the rear. You can't really bump draft in these LMP2 cars. They don't like it too much, but they still managed to keep themselves on the straight and narrow for now. Meanwhile, I think we've just seen our race leader come into the pits, Maxime Brient in the Movano Sim Racing car, in and out of the pits, currently in 3rd position, but we expect Ramez Azam and Daniel Kraft to also make their way into the pit lane very shortly indeed.
Absolutely. Oh, that was a little bit of a moment there for Luca. Look at that, all that time he's lost. I mean, to be fair, he's still in the draft, so he will get some form of draft, but Definitely not what he wanted to do. The gap is now extended to just over 0.5 of a second. But the gap is now coming down. You can see a great on-the-ball shot here of the front right-hand corner of the car. I actually was going to do it in preparation for a move to potentially be made. Look how much he catches up. Oh, he carried a bit of overspeed. He's a little bit too fast into the corner. He's actually dropped back a little bit. Oh my goodness. How on earth did Molnar Peter save that? He was sideways for a good 3 seconds, but now this is where the gap's now going to come down. So it's going to be Luca trying to go on the outside. He doesn't quite make it. Is there going to be a cutback? Is it going to be going through into turn 3? I don't know. No, there isn't. No, he thinks twice of it. Probably the sensible of moves, but Peter's gone a little bit, jumped over the curb a little bit too much. That'll definitely be an off track, I'm sure. Hopefully he hasn't got any damage from that, but we're going to see in a few moments' time. Is he going to lose any speed? I don't think he has, to be fair. That was one of the things. These LMP2 cars can take quite a bit of a battering, I think, which I've found in the extensive testing and extensive use of the, exploring the limits, I think is probably the nicest way to put it, of the damage limitations of this car. And that was, I think, I don't know, but Peters is really struggling with his tyres at this moment in time. He must have overheated them, obviously going through that massive sideways moment, and couldn't quite get them cooled down. But also the gap hasn't really, it's dropped a little bit. 0.4 of a second as opposed to half a second last lap out. So it definitely is closer. But at the moment, Luca Fioravanti can't really capitalise on it at this moment in time. But I'm actually having a look. Fioravanti, he's not made his full stop yet. And Molnar Peter has. So this is actually a battle that potentially isn't really going to be of concern for Peter at the moment. So he may as well actually let Fioravanti by if he's going to battle that hard, and he's going to have to pit anyway. And obviously Peters can then go back through. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe worth just sort of letting the move stick if it's there to be done.
Exactly, but we see Molnar Peter, he is quick through these SS section, but he has been held up a little bit with the dirty air from cars in front that he now has to slide his way through past. And yeah, as we saw Jacob Money in the chat, he said that Will is catching up to Justin Young, and he's right up behind now, isn't he, in the slipstream, 2/10 behind. Onto the brakes for the chicane, loses that a little bit of time. Does he get a good run out of the corner? Yes, but not enough to really put the pressure on him. In fact, Will Money, he's caught up and now comes on into the pits. He feels like he's being held up a little bit, and now decides, right, now's the time for me to try and do the undercut. Meanwhile, Molnar Peter in a collision there with Luca Fioravanti. These drivers are really fighting, but they don't need to. Luca Fioravanti has to come into the pits still before the end of the race. But look at that. Molnar Peter is really holding a strong defensive drive, and that's really frustrating the Italian, isn't he?
He is.
Look at that flash of the headlights. Oh.
I mean, to be fair, Peters probably doesn't actually know that Fioravanti, he hasn't actually made another stop. So that could be something that Peters is not necessarily knowing, that Lucas still needs to make that extra pit stop. So he's probably defending as much as he can as he tries to take all of the track and a little bit more. Manages to keep the car on the straight and narrow, which is obviously fantastic what we want. So yeah, so it's Molnar Peter in the Impulse Racing car doing a stellar job at defending, even though he doesn't necessarily need to. I mean, great racing for us though, Ed, to be fair, regardless of whether they're people in battles or not, then it's great racing for us nevertheless. Actually, we're going to go through, I believe we're going to jump aboard with Hugo, Preto and Melendez. This is a battle that's been raging on for more times. Oh, that was a car in the background. Oh dear, that's a car in the background. I need to see a replay of that. Who was that? I don't know. That may have been Roy Mast. We're going to have a replay of that now. We're going to come back to that racing in a second. Oh no, so Roy Mast goes forward. Okay, that's coming out of turn. Oh dear, yes. Coming out of turn 7. Again, slow speed corners, no error over the car, and makes the move. And has a little bit of a rotation, but off he goes. Again, a safe rejoin, waited, and then off he goes again. But look at the gap here, side-by-side action from Preto and Melendez. Who's going to be the one that's going to come out? It is Preto that's going to be the person that's going to come out on top going through of this chicane this time around. Well,
that was Melendez, sorry, it was in front of you. He managed to hold off the fence on the inside.
Oh, apologies. Yes, sorry, I was getting a bit confused there with the camera angle. It almost looked like it was following the wrong car then. So yes, you are correct. So Melendez does indeed keep his position for the moment in time, and the gap has actually extended a little bit. It's actually extended quite a lot to about 0.8 of a second. But with the pace that Preto's got, he's going to want
Molnar's
to be
in
making
the pits
all over again. Who is in the? Oh dear, yes, you are correct. Molnar Peter is in the pits for. I mean, to be fair, what is his 5th stop? So that's interesting. Oh dear, that will be why. That will be why. Actually, I'm looking at iRacing hasn't put anything out. Let me just see if I can move through and see if I can find some See a potential replay here. This is going to go through into the last corner. I wonder... Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Ouch. That's a very violent hit into the wall. It's difficult to see exactly what happens. They both squeeze one another. It's hard to see because it happened just so quickly, didn't it? It was... Remember, we thought it was fine, and then it was very suddenly not fine. We just see... Yeah, I'm not sure how to really call that one. Both drivers might feel that they were the innocent party, but I don't know. We're going to go on board with Luca Fioravanti. He's going to squeeze to the inside. Then I think he realises, oh wait, this is getting a bit too close. Tries to move left, but a little bit of contact happens on iRacing. Doesn't like a right front to left rear contact or any bit of the front car to the rear sort of side of a car, and spun him around as we see Dion Nieuwveld. Oh, is he going to try and rejoin the track safely? He's already off. I think that was at turn 6. Trying to avoid any contact. Gets back up and running. Eventually, as a replay, is this what happened potentially? Ooh. It was very slow. I think he's letting the car try and go through on the inside. And was that... who was that he had the contact with? I think... I'm not entirely sure who that was, but that could have been James Ebram.
That's, I mean, to be fair, that's, yeah, not ideal. Let's have a look at James Ebram's car. Let's just jump aboard with him now. I mean, to be fair, it looks like it's the same colour scheme, isn't it? So it could very well be. You could be a very eagle-eyed spotted there, Ed. So that could very well have been. Yeah, but yeah, yeah, that was, I think, one half of one, one half of another, I think, for that incident there. The one that obviously involved Mono Peter. Obviously, Peter's coming off a lot worse. So not ideal what you want to see with about 13 minutes to go. But again, I was saying to Jacob, there's always another race to go. Like I said, just ticked over halfway in this racing series. And to be fair, if I wasn't actually broadcasting, I'd love to be racing because I love these LMP2 cars, and to have 40 of them on track is fantastic to me. It's very, very good fun. Very good fun indeed. Just looking through a bit more further down the field. So obviously, Will Manning is now for his 4th stop. A couple of people still have yet to pit. So Ramez Azam, he's not pitted yet. Neither is Daniel Kraft. So both of those two out of the top 3. Maxime Brient obviously has pitted. He's in P3, so he's sitting pretty at the moment. He just needs to keep doing what he's doing. Looking then a bit further down, Ayabella Laval, he is not pitted. Neither is Luca Fioravanti. So obviously he's not ideal the way he's inherited P, or he's kept P5, and obviously now he's got no real pressure at this moment in time. But then again, we've seen anything can happen. Anything can happen in these last 10 minutes. Oh, I mean, to be fair, Ed, it's until we get through these last, like everyone else making these last sort of rounds of pit stops. I'm still keen on seeing where Drew Lloyd is going to come out. I'm still keen on seeing Drew Lloyd because I don't think he's going to need to make another pit stop, and he's in P11 in class at the moment.
Yeah, Drew Lloyd, he should be able to make it last till the end of the race, as we're seeing Daniel Kraft coming into the pit lane from, I believe that was 2nd place. You're going to see where he's come out. He's already behind Maxime Brient and Ayvola Laval in the Scuderia Gunas car. Luca Fioravanti there just going out of the final chicane, plunging down the hill. Daniel Kraft is on pit exit as Fioravanti comes into the pit lane. So Luca Fioravanti has to make another stop, whereas we know for certain Drew Lloyd does not. Will he be able to close down, and will he be able to gain a position on the DRS Wave Italy car, though? It all depends on how much fuel Fioravanti has to take on board.
It is indeed. So we're just having a look. Always just to keep an eagle eye on where Fioravanti is. So he's still in the pits. Timo Hayden's now just got by him. Actually moving through what is the gaps now. I think actually, to be fair, just looking through, so Eloy Cabanero, well, actually, Fioravanti's already out. He's already back out on track. The gap between, I believe that is, if I'm not mistaken, is that 1 minute and 34 seconds is the gap from Fioravanti to Cabanero.
That's what it's saying. I'm not sure if that is accurate or not, because sometimes it has a little bit of a moment, but I think that could be absolutely laying on the money. So I think it's close to maybe about a minute, because it is well, not even a minute. It can't be 1 minute 30. I think it might be close to a minute, because he's not a lap down on Luca Fioravanti. It might be about 40 seconds, perhaps, the difference when it actually catches up and when Cabanero comes across the line. Meanwhile, Ramez Azam, our race leader, comes on into the pits. How long will he spend stationary? Will Maxime Brient be able to leapfrog him in the pits? You can see Ramez Azam, he's doing the trick as he's shifting up between first and second, trying everything he can to get the speed going. But I think it's a 70-kilometer-hour pit lane, so he might be actually caught up for speeding in the pit lane. Might get in trouble for that. We'll find out as Maxime Brient, we're going to follow him now, and I think he's going to come blitzing on past now. Yep, there we go. Maxime Brient comes on through as Ramez Azam exits the pit lane now. Laval as well gets on through. So Ramez Azam down now in third position. Still a podium definitely on the cards for the Simsa esports driver. And look as well, because we are expecting, I believe we should be seeing James Abram in the pits eventually, sometime soon, as we go into the final 7 minutes of this race. He's still leading ahead of Justin Young in the AM category. I'll follow him here. Surely he's going to come into the pits this time. Surely.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think he's got to. So we just come through. So you've got turn 6. You just come out of turn 7. Going to go to Justin Young now. As you can see, he's just coming into turn 7. Yes, so at the moment, if obviously one more pit stop does need to be made, which by the sounds of it and by the looks of it, it will be for James Ingram, then at the moment, Justin Young just needs to, like I said, and I've said before, he just needs to keep doing what he's doing. As we've got, that is Aybola Laval. He is now in the pits for Scuderia Guna. So Ramez Azam, he's now inherited P2. So as we're going to see, where is the gap going to be? So we've got Daniel Craft currently on your screen now. He's just going to go through. He's just come out of the last chicane. What is going to happen? This is going to be interesting. I mean, to be fair, I actually don't think it's going to be as close as I first thought. So Daniel Craft could very well inherit, again, P3. And he's already going to go through. Yes, he does indeed. Because if we look, that is Laval. He's just about left his box. So yeah, that's down into P3, but how is it going to be for P4? This is Burkhard Murray. Oh, this is going to be... actually, I completely thought he was in the wrong place. I thought he was coming out of turn 1, then he wasn't. He was going through into the last corner. So, Aybola Laval, he is, at the moment, comfortably in P4, with Burkhard Murray in P5, a few seconds behind. So it's all sort of... excuse me. It's also like spread out actually a little bit more than I was thinking. So maybe these strategies are actually quite different, I think, actually, more so than I was actually expecting. I don't know about yourself, Ed, but I was expecting a little bit more sort of, I suppose, the strategies to maybe clash a little bit more. I think it's the best way to put it.
Maybe, but we're seeing still close fighting as we follow on board with Alvaro Melendez here, close behind Eloy Caballero. In fact, is he going to make the position now coming out of turn 5? Yes, he does. He gets the move stuck nicely through 6 and 7. He's got to try and build that gap out, keep the margin above, maybe about 0.5 of a second. You can do it. It's going to be close because it's 4.7 tenths of a second on the relative for us here. So Eloy Caballero, he's going to close down. Alvaro did get a good exit coming out of the final corner onto this straight though, so he should be safe. In fact, he is safe. So Alvaro Melendez up into 8th position, but that is a fight between two Iridium Motorsports teammates, so that's probably the reason why we didn't see the fight too strongly between the pair of them. They're both scoring very good points in the top 10 and don't want to do any untoward maneuvers or mistakes to take both of their drivers out of contention for a top 10 finish. Meanwhile, James Abram, he's still going. He's not coming to the pits yet. Oh my word, he's not gonna make it last then, surely not. Is he? Is he not? Oh, I don't know what to do now. I don't know if he's actually gonna make it last.
If he does, I mean, fair. If he does, fair play indeed. I mean, I don't know. He's just saving fuel. He just keeps going. He just keeps going. What, I don't know what his car's running on. It's running on air or something. But he's actually. Oh no. Again, I'm getting confused. Whether tracks always look different in the dark. It's very hard to. It's very hard sometimes to actually get your bearing sometimes. But like I said, he is now on for another lap. He hasn't got very long to go. We just can tick over. Look at the time in the top left. Just about to get on to 100 laps. That's gone really quickly. That 2 hours have just flown by. With 100 laps here. And to be fair, there are not many other tracks I would like to do 100 laps more of. Road Atlanta is such a good track, one of my personal favourites, and it's been absolutely great to commentate on. And been great to commentate alongside yourself, Ed, as always. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been a brilliant evening's racing here at Road Atlanta, and James Ebram, he's still going. And now, if we're the thing is, if we're second guessing ourselves, what on earth is that doing to Justin Young at the moment? Because he's been doing so well. He was in the lead of the race before the pit faces. He was thinking, right, I've got to make a pit stop. So does James. But now, surely this is the point where he's wondering, is he actually going to make it? James Ebram, he's massively fuel saving those that you could just hear on board. He's trying to make this last till the end. He's seeing it because this is his best chance of, well, taking a race victory. And in fact, I think during all of this, he's actually pulling out a little bit of margin. Look at that, clutching in, lifting out, saving massive amounts of fuel. It's going to be very close. He's going to have potentially a couple more laps to last. Does he have enough in the tank to do it? Only, I think, James knows at this point in the race, and he's doing, oh my, if he pulls this off, hats off to him, because that is going to be an absolute Titanic ride. Look at that, lifting off miles before the braking zone, but he still has got the confidence and still the ability as well to carry the apex speed. But now his lap times might begin to considerably slow down as Justin Young begins to pick up the pace. I think he realises potentially, yeah, that's a 1 minute 12.8, nearly a 1 minute 13 from James Ebram. What is Justin Young's time? A 1 minute 10.7. That is 2 seconds a lap faster than James Ebram. But at this pace, James could still last until the end just yet. Where is Maxime Brient now on circuit? Because that's going to determine if James Ebram has one more lap or if this is the final lap of the race. Maxime Brient is going down into the chicane, so it will be one more lap both for Maxime Brient and James Ebram. That's most importantly. Will James be able to last the extra lap? This is going to be incredibly close down. We were thinking this is done and dusted for Justin in the AM category, but oh my word, as Maxime Brient, I believe, starts the final lap of this race, the Apex Technologies round 3, the SurgeX Road Atlanta Petit P2 clash, and it's going to have a grandstand finish, I'm sure. Drama is abound, and Maxime Brient, he's commanded this race, hasn't he, from start to finish. There was a bit of a moment where we thought potentially he was going to lose out from, I think it was, what was it? Was it the 67 car? Alexander Walton was really keeping him very honest at the race, but unfortunately, just a little moment for him, put him out of contention. Maxime Brient, he hasn't looked back since, though, has he? A brilliant performance from the Ravano sim racing driver, the Frenchman again. He has just a few more corners to go, and he will make it 3 from 3.
Absolutely, what a drive. As I said, a little bit worrying for us, actually. We weren't too sure how he was going to do, but he has managed to pull himself out of the bag with 6 seconds to spare, and you have Maxime Brient. He takes the win for round 3 of the LMP2 Championship, sponsored by Apex Technologies and SurgeX for round 3. What a fantastic drive from him indeed. We have got some more battles going through ahead, so this is actually still a battle between... actually, no, I'm going to just quickly change my tune. Yeah, this is Burkhard Mehring and Ibola Laval. These guys are still battered. This is going to be very, very close indeed. You're going to watch this. I'm actually going to look, and I think as well, this is James Ebram. He has taken the win for the AM category as well. So what a drive from him! Oh no, that was never going to happen in a million years. Oh, that was never going to happen from Laval. Oh dear, oh dear. That was definitely something. That was, I'm sure, a position that Laval did not want to make. Is he going to try and let him by? Nope, he isn't, and he provisionally takes P4. I'm sure that's going to be no love lost there between them. But I mean, look at James Ebram. He's finished, and he's still actually, to be fair, as I say that, has he run out of fuel? Has he run out of fuel? I'm intrigued to see this. I'm intrigued to see in a second. We've got a few more finish positions come through, so we do have as well. So Justin Young, he takes P2, probably as surprised as us from that fantastic drive from James Ebram there. Will Money, though, takes P3, in the AM category. We haven't really seen much of him, to be fair, on stream. We saw a little bit of stuff, but he's sort of been running his own race for the remainder of the time. So fair play to Wood Money. Again, a great performance in P3. Again, so yeah, Ramez Azam, he takes P2 with Daniel Craft in P3, so he did manage to hold on to the last spot. But it was, I mean, that was close. That was close. A little bit of a shame with Laval and Mering, so I'm sure there'll be some inquiries for that. I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, that surprised us no end between James Ebert. That was absolutely fantastic. How is his car still running? I don't know. I absolutely have no idea. Is he going to try and make it back to the pits? I wonder if his car has actually run out of fuel. No, his car is. You can hear the engine. The engine is still.
He's clutched
running.
in now, I think.
But I mean, to be fair, absolutely, he's going to need to, isn't he? Wow, that's fuel saving like I've never seen before, and it's paid off. Look at the different strategies. It was close. I mean, it was about 6 seconds was the gap. It was very, very close. But look at that. Just to add. Just to add fuel to the fire, James Ebert manages to actually pull it through into his pit box as well for iRacing. Look at that. He's still ghosting, because I wonder if he's actually run out of fuel at this point. But yeah, I mean, he's gone all the way. That was just fantastic. That was absolutely fantastic. Really, really good stuff indeed. We're just going to run through in a few moments' time. We're going to be able to get the results up for you. Oh, Ed, that had pretty much everything. That had pretty much everything.
Yes, an absolutely amazing race. As always, they like to provide us here in the Apex Technologies LMP2 Championship. And the winner of the SurgeX Road Atlanta Petit P2 Clash is once again Maxime Brient. Takes the race victory, 3 from 3. Commanding race victory from the Movano Sim Racing driver there. Just ahead of Ramez Azam. 6 seconds away from our race winner, which after 2 hours is no small feat, I can tell you that. Daniel Craft there in 3rd position, ahead of Aybola Laval. Burkhard Maring in 5th, ahead of Timo Hayden. Luca Fioravanti comes home in 7th place, with Alvaro Melendez, Eloy Caballero, and Hugo Preto rounding out the top 10. Then, first position in the AM category, James Ebram, after an amazing strategy just to make only 3 pit stops when all of his competitors made 4. He fuel saved massively, especially at the end there, and it paid dividends there. Took the AM victory. Drew Lloyd there, 12th overall, or 11th in Pro. And Justin Young, 2nd in the AM category. He did so well. He tried everything possible. He didn't take tyres, and we thought that was going to be enough. But unfortunately, the extra pit stop was what costed him. And sorry for the weird noises in the background. In student accommodation, my sink's making funky noises. Cheap sink, that's the way it is. Ivo Lobsha there in 14th place, ahead of Will Money on the AM podium, ahead of Roy Maas. Asher Blythe and Daniel Andres there in 18th position. Head of Kamal Hashimi, Mark Winters, Andy Spicer, and Chris Pio, Jose Buizan, Molnar Peter, Dion Neoveld, Lee Tucker, Alexander Walton, and Jacob Money there in 28th position. Then we're going to see 29th down. There's quite a few drivers finding the circuit one of attrition. Likes of EJ Fjellner, Bart Horsden, Drew Williams, Hans Blanker, Stephen Orell, Michael Floos, Manuel Wynarts, Christopher Stahl, Arthur Figueredo, and Ryan Donaher. And then 2 more drivers, unfortunately, falling foul of the circuit. Rodrigo Lizowski and Roberto Eduard. But we've got plenty of drivers lining up to have a speak to us, Daniel. I think we may as well, it would be rude not to, wouldn't it, to have a word with our race victor for the 3rd time on the bounce, Maxime Brient. There's no stopping you, is there?
Yeah, thank you, guys. Yeah, I was lucky a bit because I get hit by some lap car and could have been the end of my race. But yeah, in the end, the strategy paid off again, and yeah, very happy with this one.
Yeah, absolutely. You were very sort of kept honest there, weren't you, by Alexander Walton at one stage of the race, and you just had the ability to keep yourself out of major issues and consistency as well. Was that what really helped you to win the race there?
Well, I just stay behind him because there were no point to fight because of the traffic everywhere. Like, yeah, I just stay behind him and yeah, I just play with the strategy of I mean, yeah, I just play with the strategy to try to overtake him because we had all similar pace, like with James and Alexander. He was unlucky with the traffic again because he crashed, but yeah, we were all as fast, and yeah, I just get them in the pit.
Exactly. It was a brilliant job from you to pull off that strategy. As we mentioned it on the broadcast, the fact that you just took the earlier pit stop, took the undercut because you saw the back markers, I think, might have played a bit of a part in that. And well, it was an inspired decision because it paid off and allowed you to get ahead and then take the race victory.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
And before we, of course, say goodbye to you, Maxime, as ever, you've taken a race victory, and I'm sure you've got plenty of people to thank.
Well, thank you guys for the for the coverage. Thanks to Craig Stop Shop for the setup, and thanks to Thomas Zucala for being my crew chief. He helped me a lot for this one. So yeah, thanks again.
Well, congratulations, Maxime. 3 from 3. Do you reckon you can make it 4 from 4 next time out?
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see.
We certainly will. Thank you very much, Maxime. We'll let you celebrate your race victory.
Thanks, guys.
So that was Maxime Brient, our race victor. And you know what, Dan? I think I will hand over to you and allow you to have a word with our second place driver, Ramez Azam.
Indeed, let's have a chat. Ramez, how are you doing, sir? How are you doing this evening? Well done and congratulations on P2.
Guys, thank you. Yeah, I'm doing good. It was a good race. I mean, Maxime's just a bit too quick, so I was trying to beat him in the pits, but that didn't work out. He's just too fast. But I'm really happy with the result.
Good. I mean, to be fair, the gap's 6 seconds. That's not too bad. That's too bad. So from what I've been hearing, obviously this is my first time actually commentating on this championship, and it's been absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to the remainder of the rounds. But yeah, like I said, that gap not too bad at all. So was there a strategy going into? Was it very much a bit of a sort of go in, see what happens, or did you have a couple of strategies already under your belt ready to go?
I mean, there was no chance to save a stop without driving really slow, so it was not like Daytona or Silverstone where you could fuel save. The plan was to push most of the time, but I managed to fuel save every stint and go an extra lap compared to Maxime. That's why the gap came down from, I think it was 18 seconds down to 5 after the last stop. I had no idea whether we needed to change tires or not, so I just kind of drove and went with it. And when I saw Maxime didn't change, I just copied what he did and ended up, 5 or 6 seconds behind him. I'm quite happy with that.
Absolutely. No, fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff. Obviously, to be fair, Rebecca, last thing I would like to ask, there's obviously Silverstone did not go your way. What was it, what was different this time? Was it just something that, I suppose, obviously, you knew, in testing, and then did you know you had pace around here as well? Obviously, like Silverstone was absolutely a fantastic round for obviously yourself until the incident. Is it something that sort of going forward did that play in your mind a little bit, or was it very much like forget about that race, move on, and focus on, very much focus straight away on Road Atlanta?
Yeah, the last race was kind of disappointing. I was happy. I was surprised how close I was to Maxime in terms of pace, and it was going to be a close finish. I think he still would have taken it, but I was happy again. I was just 5 seconds behind him when I got into the incident. So yeah, I was quite upset about it, but there's a lot of positives in that race, and we had a good setup for here from the Petit Le Mans last year. We just adapted a bit for the new update, and I didn't think I would be close again, but I'm very happy that my qualifying didn't go well, but I'm happy I could come up to the podium in the race.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Well, brilliant. Right, Ramez, before we let you go, anyone that you would like to give a shout out to for this particular evening?
Yeah, just Peter from Simza, my teammates, Burkhard, Alex, and Robert. Alex got a bit unlucky. He was running in P2 just in front of me. That's a shame, but I mean, these things happen. I know that from the last race. And thanks to you guys and the organizers.
No, fair enough. Honestly, Ramez, it's always a pleasure. And I look forward to catching up with you potentially in the broadcast booth next round.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Take care. That was Ramez Azam, everybody. P2 in the pro category. Ed, we've got a few people. I'm just obviously conscious of time, but who would you like to bring in? Who would you like to bring in for the round? I think we do have. We have James Ebram. I mean, to be fair.
We've got plenty of drivers, don't we?
Yeah, we've got
I
lots to
think
choose
we'll
from.
have a quick word with the round out the pro podium, I think, because Daniel Crafty's been waiting very patiently. So we'll bring in, rounding out the pro and overall podium, Daniel Craft. Great job from you in the PSM's car, but it was a race that really came to you, I think, in the latter stages.
Yeah, I got quite lucky. I think I was fighting Molnar Peter, and I think he was involved in an accident in the last 15 minutes or so. So I was luckily promoted to P3. I did have a little bit of an incident myself going into the pit lane. I'd done a half spin, and I was worried that the guy behind me was going to catch up, but fortunately still came out ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, with the race that you had, was it something that with the strategy that paid out to the end, or was it just trying to keep consistent lap times to look after the tires?
Just consistency. I didn't take tires throughout the whole race, so it was just a case of hanging on towards the end, and just managing the traffic and managing the gaps really.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Dan. Sorry we don't have too much time, but we've got a little bit of time constraints on, and so we'd love to chat a little bit more to you going into the next round. What are your hopes for that one?
Hoping for more time to prepare for the next one. Flew in from Bathurst yesterday, so had not much practice for today. So hoping for the next round with more practice. Hopefully, I can challenge closer to the front.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. But before we say goodbye, is there anyone you'd like to shout out to here on the broadcast?
I'd just like to shout out to our sponsors, Pure Sims, Cracep Shop, Jinx Shifters, SimLab, and thanks to the whole Pure Sims esports team.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. We'll wish you all the best for the next round of this championship.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
So that was Daniel Craft rounding out the pro podium, and now we can have a word with, well, man of the moment, isn't he? James Ebram, congratulations on your AM victory. That was really touch and go at the end there. Me and Dan, we were counting you out, but you told us wrong, and amazing job to fuel save at the end there.
Yeah, I actually made the call to fuel save about 25 minutes into the race. I realized I wasn't making the half-hour mark if I was going flat out. So basically from then on, I was fuel saving. It was fuel saving like mad. I was losing probably about a second a lap fuel saving just to avoid a pit stop.
Well, it paid off in the end. And we saw as well, did you take a tyre stop midway through the race? Because we noticed you had a slower stop midway through.
I did, yeah. I changed all 4 tyres. I was contemplating whether just to change the front 2. I probably could have got away with actually just not changing them at all, considering how much fuel saving I was doing. It probably wouldn't have changed anything. So yeah, I did change all 4.
Well, it certainly paid off for you at the end there. It was very touch and go. But obviously, last time out at Silverstone, you had a brilliant performance as well. Is this a sign of things to come for your challenge in the AM category?
I'd like to say I can continue from here, but you never know. You know, it's one accident that I can't avoid, or one slip up. And it can fall away like that. So I don't want to say anything too soon.
Absolutely. Well, we'll certainly wish you all the very best for the upcoming rounds. And before we say goodbye to you, is there anyone you'd like to shout out here on the broadcast?
Yeah, I'd like to just shout out to the rest of the team and Asher for doing such a great job in his first race. P17 overall. He had a few issues and he did fantastic. So I'm very pleased for him. And just the rest of the team as well who were supporting on.
Well, congratulations, James. We'll let you go celebrate with the rest of your exothermic teammates for what's been a brilliant M victory.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
So that was James Ebram, and then we can speak to the driver who was ever so close. We thought for a moment he was going to take the AM victory, but it just wasn't to be, was it, Justin? The strategy didn't play out in the end.
Yeah, I try a lot of risk because I don't change my tires, and then I had a spin in behind the other car, and it cost a lot of time, and fuel management of James was insane.
Yeah, it was a very... I don't think any of us could have predicted he was able to save that amount of fuel, so don't feel too hard on yourself. But just talk us through sort of the race and the pace you had, because it was just consistent through, and the strategy almost worked out, but just didn't in the end.
Yeah, I tried to get a little bit lift and coast behind James in the beginning, but it don't work. Because of that, I changed my strategy fast to have a good pace. But in the end, the concentration was not good enough. I do too much mistakes, and the strategy don't work. And yes, it was not enough for the win today. But next time I try to catch him.
It's very unfortunate, but you're still sitting pretty in second position in the AM Championship. So there's plenty of time remaining. 3 rounds still to go, Justin. But we wish you all the very best for the next 3. Before we say goodbye to you, though, is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to here on Sim Race as Well TV?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they watch again at this point. I think they
They'll clear off.
stop watching. Yes.
No worries, Justin. All the very best, and we'll see you next time out at Sebring.
Thank you. Goodbye.
And with that, I think we can have a word to the final driver on the AM podium. And you know what, Dan? I'll hand it over to you. You're going to have a word with Will Money there, 3rd position in AMS.
Lovely stuff. Will, how are you doing this evening?
Hi Dan, I'm really good, thanks. That was mega. I'm not gonna lie.
That was good. I mean, it was good for us. It was very, very good for us. Absolutely fantastic to see. Obviously, no, we haven't spoken for a while, but good to catch up as always. And I don't think there could be any better circumstances, really, could there? Absolutely fantastic. But quick one, like I said, we're just going to ask you just a couple of questions. Is what was the obviously I know you've been talking with Jacob and I, but was there any sort of like strategies you were sort of playing off, or any different sort of strategies that you wanted to do, or was it very much just go in, see how it goes, and off you pop? Like, what was
the initial strategy was trying to do the fuel save, but that all went downhill after the third corner. I got punted, spam round, and then hit on the front end, so I had quite severe front end damage. Was losing about a second down the back straight, but I left it until the first stop. But that ruined my fuel strat, really. So I had to make a splash and dash at the end. Otherwise, I think me and Justin would have been quite close.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like I said, the best of a bad situation by the sounds of it then.
It was great fun trying to work my way back up through the field.
Good stuff. Well, like I said, putting a positive spin on that's absolutely fantastic. Also, as well, to be fair, like I said, very, very quickly, going forward, what's the main thing you're looking at going forward? Obviously, it's giving you a confidence boost. Like, is it same again next round?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this was my first race in this championship.
Well, there we go.
After being added, so I'm pretty happy with what I did. Sebring isn't my best track, so we'll see how we get on there. But I'm just looking forward to it, and looking forward to a few more races and good racing from everyone.
Lovely stuff indeed, lovely stuff. Well, before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to for the end of this round?
Just like to say thanks to Derek, really, as a team manager, and letting me run under Pozar, and the rest of the team, really. They've been great help, everyone, including yourself, Dan, actually.
Oh, thank you.
Also, I'd like to say well done on the broadcast. It seems really good. I've watched the past 2, and it's been really fantastic to watch. And James, actually, before he left, asked me to say thanks as well.
Brilliant stuff. Well, like I said, we do our best, and it's been been fantastic to have you on board. And look forward to catching up with you again soon, Will.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Take care. And there we go. Will Money P3 in the categories. I know we're conscious of time, Ed, but obviously just a quick roundup from both of us. I mean, a lot of action. I'm excited to see next round. I mean, there's lots of highlights sort of pushing forward. I mean, let's get it underway. I want to do it now.
Yeah, absolutely. The next round is, of course, Sebring, and that is going to be just as exciting, I am sure, as Road Atlanta was. The SurgeX Road Atlanta Petit P2 clash was certainly one to remember. And of course, we can't end up without thanking the likes of Apex Technologies and SurgeX for partnering and sponsoring this championship. Without them, it would not be able to happen. We wouldn't be able to bring you all of this exciting action here on Sim Racers TV. And I'll tell you what, then, roll on the next round, because I honestly cannot wait.
Neither can I. It's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you all very much for people that have been watching for this evening. It's been absolutely fantastic having you on board with us. Look forward to catching up with you again in the chat in a few weeks' time. But yeah, like I said, as very much echo the comment that Ed said there. Bring on next round. I can't wait. But unfortunately, we do have to leave you until a few weeks' time. Thank you all, as I said, very much for watching. Look forward to catching up with you very, very soon. My name is Daniel Handover. In the commentary box, joining me has been the fantastic Ed May. We very much look forward to seeing you soon. Make sure, if you haven't already, please do like, comment, subscribe, get involved with the Sim Racers World channel. There is some amazing rounds coming up that you do not want to miss. But until next time, take care and stay safe.